have the bollocks.
Do you really want to go toe to toe with me on that?
You've completely, like, what are we doing here? Levy isn't going anywhere.
It's all down to timing, isn't it?
Yes, people, how you doing? Welcome back to the Spurs 5. It's the Spurs 4 tonight. Johnny's on his holly pops again. I think he's just landed in Miami, and he's out with he's doing whatever they do over there. I don't know what he's up to. But we've got in a wonderful replacement, part of the previous member of the show, Savalicious, or what was it? Your missus said sabotage. He's here to sabotage.
The club's been sabotaged. Yeah,
the club has been sabotaged. We got a good show tonight. I don't know why we're starting with smiles. I guess it's because we're going to be tears as we go through this. It has been a travesty, a disgrace, this club. 25 years, nothing changes. The owners, same owners, not same owners, no, different owners, different chairman, nothing changes. We're going to talk all about it, guys. You know what to do. Smash the like button if you are frustrated, if you're despondent, if you're in despair, if you're angry, and do the like button game for us strong. Hit the subscribe if you haven't already. We are on the march to whatever the next number is. I don't know. So help us out in that regard. Hit the notification bell, and comments should be dropped. Keep them respectful. We'll try and make the debate as respectful as possible. And I'm sure it's going to be a lively one. Although I think tonight most people are going to be on a similar page, just maybe degrees of anger. We are, of course, sponsored by OK Jersey. You know the score, guys. OK Jersey. You did have the chance until yesterday to get 15% off, but now you're back to 8%. Code 5 at checkout for all of your shirts, your Jeremy Jacquets, your retro, your new, your old school, whatever you want, branded, unbranded, athleisure wear. You know what to do. Search for OK Jersey wherever you land. Get your stuff in the basket and stick in code 5 and you'll get 8% off that price point. Already fantastic prices as well. Can't ask better than that. Thank you to them for the sponsorship. And lastly, before I find out how the boys are doing, we are, of course, available on all of your podcast platforms, trying our best to grow that. And Stell's doing a good job keeping that one going. I think the numbers are getting better and better. It's turning into a good little podcast. So please do follow us over there. Search for Spurs 5 or drop into the description and you will see the links in there. Give us a follow and a rating. Appreciate everyone. Let's lock in. Sava, welcome back to the show, my man. First of all, how are you personally? And then also, how are you feeling about what's going on? Well, actually, we'll say that bit. How are you personally?
Very well. Thank you for the warm wishes from some of your comments. It's always nice. Hello. Thank you for having me.
They started already.
Yeah. Why not? Yeah. No, I'm well. I'm good, man. I'm good.
Come on, guys.
Good.
What are we doing here?
Yeah. We'll talk football in a minute, but I am very well. Thank you. Yeah, I'm very well.
Good man. The best dressed man at Tottenham Hotspur. Every time I see him, he's dresses like he's going on a night out. Ratatata. Lubo, how are you, my man? Good to see you.
Yeah, you know. What did Dan say? Same Spurs, different day. Pretty much.
Yeah. Listen, I've got a lot. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of various takes on this, but I think everyone is really annoyed. Stell, how are you feeling, my man? How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm good. Hello to everyone watching and who listens later on, podcast, YouTube. Smash like, subscribe. You know the drill. It's a real shame Johnny's not here tonight. Real shame he's not here tonight because he's not going to be able to defend himself. And I should feel sorry for him, but I'm not. And we will discuss.
Okay. Looking forward to that. What's he got to do? I think we'll find out. Should we start with the Man City game and get that out of the way? Because it was a fantastic second half. It was a great game. Obviously, I think a lot of people right now want to talk about the window, but I think if we start with first things first, let's start in chronological order. Yesterday, we were up against Manchester City, and at halftime, it was looking pretty bleak. Completely overrun in the first half by a team. The formation, the tactics that we put out just couldn't really compete in the midfield. And I don't know whether 1-0 or 2-0 was a fair reflection of the first half, but certainly we didn't create anything, didn't really have any merit. But then second half came around, boys, and everything changed. We came out with a slightly different tweak to the tactics. Romero goes off, brings on Pape Sarr, and everything looked like a camp reborn. And I make the argument, I think towards the end of the game, if there was a winner, it probably could have or should have been Tottenham overall. I think Tottenham are better in the second half than they were worse in the first half, if that makes sense. Lube, I'll start with you, my man. Let's talk about the game first. So what's your overall take on what happened at the stadium yesterday?
Well, the first half, as you said, I think we were outclassed, outnumbered, outplayed in midfield. And they seemed to just sort of step up whenever they wanted to. Interesting, they didn't create that many chances. Funny enough, they were playing the ball around quite a bit, and we were just chasing shadows. What a save from Vicario from Turkey! I mean, that was just phenomenal. And they didn't even get a corner. We got a goal kick for that, didn't we? That was quite unbelievable. I thought first half was really poor. Set us up badly, but the second half, just different class. It was funny actually because everyone around, when the second half started and Romero wasn't out there, it was, oh God, this is going to be 4 or 5. But they came out with a purpose. They came out to turn into to get to the end of the game, and it was good. I thought it was first class. What was City were only 2 up. Again, we gave them 2 goals. It's like Christmas. Whenever clubs come to White Hart Lane, it's like Christmas for them. We hand out presents. Basuma getting caught on the ball and Dragusin getting nowhere near Turkey for the first. And the second, I mean, what was Dragusin doing with that clearance? To give him credit, he picked himself up second half. I thought was excellent. To have a first half like that. Listen, and he's rusty. He's hardly played for a year. So, unfortunately, this is going to happen. But he bounced back. I thought the whole of the team, second half, even Basuma was slightly better before he got hooked on 58 minutes. But they played well, and you just look at it and you just think, why can't we have 2 decent halves in 90 minutes? Because we've now won 3 in 17. We're not going down. We're much better than West Ham, regardless of West Ham's recent upturn in form. We'll finish mid-table. I just want to see Spurs play over 90 minutes, a bit like we did. We played well against Frankfurt and Dortmund. But I want to see it in the league over 90 minutes. It's either first half or second half, isn't it? We only played for 45 minutes. But they came back very well and deservedly got the points. What a difference having Solanke as a focal point up front makes. Massive difference. Gallagher's getting into his stride. Xavi Simons, fabulous. I slaughtered him a few weeks ago. He was dreadful. Since then, he's been superb most of the games since then, which I'm personally delighted because we need someone like him. I mean, he was getting stuck in, just winning balls, coming away with them, skipping round tackles. Absolutely superb. Polinia, excellent. Just I think he won. God, I think he won every single tackle bar one. Playing right side.
Polinia was insane yesterday.
Fabulous, just fabulous. Gallagher looked good. Solanke, Vicario did what he had to do. I mean, made 2 very good saves. One was phenomenal. And
Pape Sarr was a game changer as well. I thought he was brilliant. He was really good when he came on.
Well, he came on and he closed the gaps in midfield, didn't he? There was nowhere for City to play through. And you just look at it and you just think, they can play like that. So why are we so inconsistent? And that's been the story of our season, hasn't it? Yesterday's game was like summed up the season, didn't it? Go from one extreme to the other. And unfortunately, we won 7, drawn 8, lost 9 in the league. That pretty much sums it up. It's been really disappointing. And January's killed it for me for Europe with those 3 points from 5 games. And it's just a shame because you look at those games they were all fairly winnable games, all of them. And if we'd have got another 6 points, you'd have been looking at we're only 4 points off Liverpool in 6th place. So for me, January blew it, and it's frustrating because the league is very bunched up in the middle, and we had a very good chance of Europe. And I know we'll talk about the transfer window later. With a decent window, I could have seen us definitely go after Brentford in 7th for a Conference League place. But it's just all a bit underwhelming, isn't it? But yesterday, I walked out with a smile on my face. If you're going to draw 2-2 and you're going to score 2 goals, better you come back second half than first half, because you come out, if you're 2 up at half time, you draw 2, you come out feeling like you've lost. But if you're going to have a game like this, then for 2-2, then better it this way round. And they play well, and you are seeing green shoots. Solanke's there, scored 4 in 4. Simmons is coming into his own. Gallagher had a really good game yesterday. You can see it. You can see the midfield starting to shape up. And you know what? My boy Archie had another good game as well. Another one. So there are green shoots coming through. And look at the injuries we've got. Look at the players that are missing.
Yep.
So to get a draw against the second best team in the league, being 2-0 down with the injuries we've got, I don't think it was a bad result.
Fantastic result, in my opinion. Stel, big up to you, mate. Lubo, Stel, bring you in. Same question, mate. Fantastic second half, right? And what are the takeaways from it? I know there's other things that people want to talk about right now, which we'll come to at the end of this bit, but just on the game itself, is it pause for thought on Thomas Frank? Is he starting to turn a little bit of the corner? People were seeing good results from, or good moments, even though obviously not the greatest result against Burnley, and a better performance against West Ham that went the other way. Aston Villa could have gone a different day, and then obviously the 2 games in the Champions League that were very, very professional. To go and get a point away at home against Manchester City, it looks like we're starting to move in the right direction, aren't we? Is there, do you feel that way, or do you still see just weaknesses?
There's so much to say on this, because it's a results business. If you don't get results, nothing's changed. Right? We could talk about performances and green shoots, win a game of football then, which we still aren't doing. So all these green shoots are great sound bites, but they manifest into us still being 14th in the table. We haven't budged in about a month. So I don't see those green shoots. I know people are looking to turn crumbs into steak, but they're still crumbs, in my opinion. I don't think it's all Frank's fault. We've got an injury crisis, but it wasn't all Ange's fault either. But everyone wanted to dismantle Ange. He's caused all the injuries. All right, so I guess Frank's caused them all now. I just think the managers have been unlucky at Spurs. There's a lot of problems with the medical team. There's a lot of problems with the lack of quality and depth in the squads for many years. Regarding this game, Lubo says, why can't we play that more often? Well, maybe if you stop calling all the players shit and they're all crap. And some of us have been saying this squad's better than what we're seeing, and you saw it against City second half. They're better than what we've been seeing. The issue we've got is Frank. That first half for me was awful tactically. We're getting absolutely ripped in that midfield to pieces. We weren't playing a low block. We weren't playing a high press. We were playing this mid block where City were just pivoting with the ball horizontally, looking for that thread through our block. And when they got through, they were in. And not once did Frank, the tactical genius everyone sold him out as being, did he adapt it in that first half. After 25 minutes, I turned around to the people that I sit with and I said, guys, he's got to change this. We're getting absolutely rinsed here. You can't do this for the whole half. He didn't change it. He waited until we went 2-0 down. Second half, he changed it. Back 4, put an extra body in midfield. We took complete control of the game and we were all over them. We rinsed them. We absolutely took it to them. They were on the back foot. They didn't know how to deal with us. We were quick. We were much more fluid with our passing. We created chances. So I just think it's tactical naivety, which stems from a fear to be an attacking team, right? They can do it. And they can do it for more than 45 minutes. They've got it in them. Will they win every game doing it? Absolutely not, because we lack quality. We know that, which is why we're not going to get top 4 with a squad like this. It's never going to happen. But for me, Frank got it wrong. And I've seen it a lot this year when we played Brighton, Liverpool, Fulham, Aston Villa, Man City, Newcastle. You go 2-0 down, right, change the tactics, be more fluid, be more attacking, and then we get into teams and we look like we can do something. So, look, some of us predicted a draw would happen, I'm just saying. Right? Some of us did say we were going to draw.
Some of us got it spot on.
You got the correct scoreline, and I just think, you know what?
Look, see how Stel was trying to take credit there, thinking I wasn't paying attention. This guy is back at the top of the table. Not that I've ever taken a step off the top of the table.
I knew you were paying attention because I never said, you know, I said some of us, right? I kind of opened it up for you. Look, it was an excellent second half performance, which proves that if Frank is a bit more brave, a bit more adventurous, in my opinion, we could have and should have been in a European spot. Having said that, these injuries are a problem for any manager. And we do have a hell of a lot of injuries at this club. So I do give him some leeway, but I think Frank, I think Ange deserves that leeway as well, because this is what he had to deal with too. But look, good point against a good team. They're second in the league. I will say this, having watched Man City for 90 minutes, they're not going to win the league. They don't have that oomph they've had from years before, which is really disappointing because now we're going to have to deal with those lot down the road celebrating in May. But look, yeah, good second half performance, dreadful first half.
Yeah, certainly a game of two halves. Sava, what were you expecting going into the game? What were you expecting coming? Or what did you think coming out of it? Reasons to be positive or not enough consistency? What's your overall thoughts on the City game?
Yeah, I mean, I'm slightly different to these guys. I think the fact that we are not consistent is because the players aren't good enough. Like you can't play the way we played in that second half. You can't do that. No team does that for 90 minutes. No team does that for 90 minutes. We do it in bursts. We do it in patches. If you played like that for 90 minutes, you're just going to get ripped wide open. And it's okay for Stel to sit there now and go, he got it all wrong. But we've said the last 3 games, it started to look better and he's started to get the tactics right with a 3 at the back. He goes in and does that and then he's wrong again. So I think we've got to be careful here. When we say we ask for something, he gives it to us and then we call him out for it. Look, first off, I don't think it was the shape that was wrong. I think it was the intensity. It's true, isn't it? It's true. Everyone, all I've heard all year is want to play wing backs, want to play wing backs, want to play wing backs. He goes to wing backs and then people go, God, he got it wrong, didn't he? Look, for me, I don't think it's the shape that was wrong in that first half. I think it was the intensity. I think Man City moved the ball really well. We were sloppy. We didn't press. That was a real frustration that we just didn't press from the front. Couple of moments where Xavi Simons broke away. By the way, Xavi Simons is the only one in that team with technical ability. The only one in that team with real technical ability. Let's pray that boy doesn't go down injured, because if he does, we are entirely screwed.
It also looks like he's starting to understand the pace and the physicality.
Yeah,
right? He's getting up to speed.
Yeah, definitely. He's a proper footballer. But look, there were times in the first half where, he was found Mawani a few times down the left, and he just didn't get a shot away or a cross, and it fizzled out. But look, first half wasn't good enough, wasn't? The players were sloppy. Frank didn't set them up with the right intensity, with the right press. And it was disgraceful, to be brutally honest. I thought Romero was absolutely shit again in that first half. Does his all running out into midfield thing. I thought that Udogie first half was a disgrace. Again, I keep this guy. I don't know how many times everyone in the stand I was in, when he got it on the left, are screaming for him to run. Like, just keep running with the ball. And every time he goes inside, grass to run into. So it was a disappointing first half. It was a disappointing first half. Then I thought we were better. Again, I'll say it. I thought we were better with the changes that were made. I thought Dragusin and Paulinho were excellent at centre half. They just did. I know Lubo hates it when I say about Romero. I don't miss Romero when he doesn't play. Sorry, I know that's controversial. I don't miss him when he doesn't play. I thought those two were absolutely fantastic. Simons was brilliant. Solanke was best I've seen him play in a Spurs shirt. Gallagher was excellent in the second half. And Sarr, perfect game for Sarr, right? A game where you don't have a lot of the ball and a game where you don't have to rely on Sarr being able to pass. So his energy, his breaking up play was excellent. It is what it is, right? And I said to you on the phone earlier, Sean, looked at Spurs' last 15 games, and it's exactly what I think Spurs are as a club when I say it. Our last 15, we've won 5, drawn 5, lost 5. It's It's where I think the players are. It's where I think the manager is this season. It's where I think the squad is. It's where I think the club is. I think it's a very average group. And maybe when everyone's fit, it's a European team. Right now, it's not. And obviously that leads into the disgrace of this window, which I'm sure we'll talk about later. But Jekyll and Hyde, and Lubo's right. That sums up our season completely. First half sums up all the bad bits, and the second half sums up all the good bits. But what I will say now is, I know it's not the thing to do to put any positives on this. I know fans don't like it, but that is now 4 games unbeaten.
Yeah.
We are, everyone who said he's lost the dressing room, they're not playing for him. Well, they keep coming back, don't they? They keep digging in, they keep fighting, they keep coming back from losing positions and winning these games with 11 players, 12 players fit. So there's green shoots, but have we got the quality to win enough games? I don't know. I genuinely don't know. No, not the quality. We got the numbers. We've got 11 players fit. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's the.
Can I push back on that? Yeah, sure. Before you come in, right?
Of course.
I just find it amazing, Sava, that you want to take a little, a friendly dig, footballing dig at me for my take on the back three. But you said you called out my talk of saying.
Well, I said everyone said they want a back three. He goes to the back three.
You said Stell.
Well, because you made the comment.
Right, you mentioned me, right? Exactly. So I just want to push back on it. So I said on this show many a times that there's a time and a place for us to stick with Frank's tactics, but there's certain games where he can take the handbrake off, go to the back three, and be more adventurous. I totally accept when you play Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City, certain teams, he should stick to his way because we're not good enough to go toe-to-toe with them. But there's other games where he should go to a back three and not be scared. That's what I said. And this was a prime example of it. And do you know what? I felt like your explanation of the game was practically throwing our players under the bus to protect Frank, because you just won't call out Frank. His tactics were god-awful in that first half. It's okay to call it out.
Hang on. Sorry, did I not
Frank
just say
awful in that first half? No, you threw the players under a bus.
Sorry.
Under a bus.
Sorry, hang on, Stell.
You went for Romero. You went for Pape Sarr.
And what did I say about how Frank set us up in the first half?
I don't know.
Well, no, you must know. You've just said I didn't call him out, so you must know what I said.
I don't know, because you're talking about me and what I said about the back three.
What did I actually say? Maybe the other two can help. What did I actually say?
I heard you mostly indirectly going after the players, not once saying Frank got it wrong. That was awful from Frank. What was
he did.
Yes, I did, Chelsea. Yes, I did. And this is why when people just pretend that they've heard something they haven't, now all the chat goes, see, so what did I say?
Your narrative was to call me out for saying we should go to.
I'll clear it up, right? Sava started by saying, I disagree with the other two. Hang on. He said, I disagree with the other two because I think that so Stell, you finished by saying, everyone says the players aren't good enough. You saw in the second half that they are good enough, right? And Sava said, I disagree because I believe that the reason why we couldn't do 2 halves of football.
No, sure, I said they're better than what we're seeing.
Yeah, I know. Okay, better than what we're seeing. Good enough, whatever, right? Good enough to do better. And Sava said, I disagree. I think that the reason why we can't do that for 90 minutes is because the players aren't good enough or the players can't do better, whatever, right? So that's a different take. As I've said, and then after that, Sava mentioned about the fact that I don't think he was saying it more broadly. Like, I was someone that said I want to see a back three. I didn't particularly call him out for getting it wrong. I just thought the first half was a mess. When he went to a back four and changed things up. By the way, also, there has to be the context baked in here of there wasn't people playing in their natural positions in either formation in the first half or in the second half. There were people playing at right back that haven't played there before, at right wing back that haven't played there before. We finished the game with Junai Byfield playing as a right midfielder. So there was there's context to this specific environment, but the overall sort of disagreement here between the two of you is that the point Sava was making was that people ask for a back three and then criticize it when the back three is implemented and doesn't work. That was the point.
I clearly said there's a time and a place for it, not against the top teams, because we can't go toe-to-toe with them like that.
Right, but I guess the argument then would be, if you always say, I want to see a back three, but then when it doesn't work, I can lean back and say, well, I didn't mean then.
No.
Then I think that's always a get-out-of-jail-free card on the opinion, isn't it?
No, Sean. I said when we play the top 6 teams, If we go to Anfield with a back three, I'm against it. I made that clear. If we go to Stamford Bridge, Arsenal with a back three, I'm against it because we will get chewed up alive. They'll chew us. But there's certain teams where we shouldn't give them that respect. We should disrespect them and say, no, we're going to go to the back three and try and throttle you instead. That's what I said, but he doesn't do it.
Sure, but can we go back to the initial thing? I actually turned around and said Frank got it wrong in the first half. He didn't set us up to press, and he didn't set us up with the right intensity. But that was obviously clearly missed because that doesn't suit the narrative. So, cool.
No, you focus more on slamming the players, man. Like, our players aren't good enough to do this. The players can't do that.
But you said I didn't say anything about Frank, and I clearly did. But you just glossed over that because you're annoyed about something, right?
I
just got to cut in for 2 seconds, Stav. Sorry, guys in the chat. Right, all I'm seeing is nasty things being said about everyone in the panel. Like Stel's getting it from some of you, Sav's getting it,
and people talking about my wife. If that could stop, it would be amazing.
Can we, for the love of God, right? We're trying to have a chat here. You know, the show is like it's a spicy show. That's what we do here, but you don't need to like call people liars and all that sort of. It's unnecessary. If there's no mods in the house to do their job of timing people out, I can't see any mods watching. Then I'll start timing people out, and then you piss around too many times, you'll be gone for good. And that's like no one wants to do that. So just be respectful, right? That's the one thing we ask. Disagree, attack the argument, not the person. Come on. You're bigger than that. We're better than that.
I actually did say that Frank got it wrong first half, set us up wrong, tactical. If you actually look, which players did I actually call out? I said I thought Romero had a bad first half and Udogie, 2 players. If you look at it, I thought I said 2 players. I didn't call out.
Do you not think this isn't a criticism? It's a question. Do you not think Spurs can be attacking for more than just one half? We can't be just an attacking team for more than one half.
I'm sure we can when you've got the right players on the pitch. But like when people are criticizing, like you criticize, like he played the back three yesterday, got no wingers fit. Like you kind of have to go to the back three when you don't have wingers fit. You know, Odegaard was only able to play 25 minutes of the game yesterday. So you got no wingers fit. Aren't we dictated to a little bit now by who's available? You've got Paulinho playing at centre half and he's not. You've got Archie Gray playing right wing back and he's not. Right? You know, we've got you've got Radu Dragusin who hasn't played a game of football for a year. I just feel like when we're asking for this tempo over 90 minutes, we've got to realise these players know there's no subs to really be made. These players have got to go for 90 minutes. We can't get to 60 minutes and make 5 subs. Arsenal can get to 60 minutes and bring on Eze and Martinelli and Trossard and Marino and Hincapié. We're getting to 60 minutes and going, God, we've got no senior pros to bring on.
If it was 0-0 at half time, do you think we would have played like that in the second half?
God knows. If it was 0-0 at half time, there wouldn't be such. Yeah, but if there was 0-0 at half time, there wouldn't be so much anger, right? And you know, look, I want to see Spurs playing good football as well, right? I want to see Spurs playing good football. The difference between me and you, Stel, is I don't rate a lot of this team. That's the difference between me and you. So whatever said, nothing anyone says is going to convince me that certain player. I think we've got one really good technical player in the 11 right now.
So I don't rate them. I don't rate them. But in a league where 6-7 points separates us to Europe, I believe had we have played with different tactics in certain games and not been so cautious, those points we would have put them in the bag and been in those positions. I don't think this team's good, but I think it's better than what we're seeing. I think Frank has held us back in a number of games, which I thought he was going to come in and be that tactical magician that wouldn't be doing what I'm seeing at the moment.
Maybe, but as all I've said all season is I just like to see Frank when he's actually got a full squad to pick from to see how he does that.
Yeah.
That's the thing I've said. When people say, "Oh, you did this with Ange, not Frank," yeah, because I watched Ange for 2 years do the same thing for 2 years, right? With Thomas Frank, I've never seen Thomas Frank once put out a best 11. All I've said is I would like to see when he's got the option of Kulu, Maddison, Kudus, Xavi, Solanke, when he's got them all going. If we play like this when all of those players are fit, I've got a problem. But right now, I don't really rate Mawani, right? For me, Udogie
He
is
looked
not
like he was more motivated though, Sava, yesterday. He looked like I don't know. Maybe I'm hoping, maybe I'm clutching at straws here, but I think most reasonable people would say that his technique and talent isn't really a problem. It's his work rate and effort. And I saw him sprint. Usually, I see him sprinting running at half pace, right? No real desire. Yeah. I would hope that maybe he had a talking to by Thomas Frank and said, "Look, you're not going to Juve, so if you want to get in the French World Cup team, you're gonna have to prove yourself at Tottenham." And I saw yesterday a version of him that I thought was energized, energetic. I thought he had desire, and I hopefully there's more to come in that regard. Because if he matches his talent with his work rate, I think there is a player in there personally.
Yeah, he never looks like he's going to score a goal like that. That's my problem. There, as I said, there was a couple of times where Simmons put in lovely balls into him down the channel, and you're thinking, you shuffle it out your feet, get a shot away, or get the crossover, and he just doesn't do anything. As I said, look. As I said, I didn't realize this was going to be a whole conversation about Thomas Frank again. But I just want to see. I just want to see what we do when we actually have the players fit. You know, we saw what Jose did when he had a full squad. We've seen what Ange did with a full squad. We've seen what Conte did with a full squad. All I've said is I'd like to see what Thomas Frank does with a full squad and with some of his own footballers. I never once said, this is the frustrating thing for me, Sean. In the summer, I never once said, oh, I think Thomas Frank's going to revolutionise this football team in 6 months and he's going to do it without any of his attacking players. I don't know why that's so difficult to fathom. I just want to see the attacking players play. That's all I want to see.
I was never Frank in. I've never been fully Frank out. I've always said, like, it depends on the circumstances, depends on what the plan is, where the other options are, and whether there's, you know, better opportunities in the summer with the World Cup stuff. And I've got to be honest, like over the last month, I'm seeing, okay, we can't use the word green shoots, but I'm starting to see, if not the results, I'm starting to see sort of patterns of football when we get at it that I think give me reason to think he's not this, like, that there's no better option right now out there that we can realistically get. And so the idea of sacking him now after the result yesterday, after the Champions League qualification, we qualified 4th in the Champions League, right? That's no mean feat. I think that's something to sort of put in his pro column. And for me right now, I'm sort of with you, Savrin, as well. Like, I think it's difficult. We have to also acknowledge how many injuries he's got. Now we're going to talk about the window and whether or not he and his recruitment team are in part, at least, responsible for cop blocking each other by not having consensus on certain options, or why it is that we've ended up with the window that we've got. But just from my take right now, I was impressed with the second half against Manchester City. I was a little bit like despondent in the first half going in at half time, but that second half effort I thought was exemplary. And I would hope that they can kind of like harness something from that and galvanize them to have a decent effort again against Manchester United on the weekend. Obviously, we'll talk about that on Thursday night show. But listen, I know everyone wants to talk more about the transfer windows and things. There has, of course, also been a tweet from Romero, or a message from Romero, which we're going to have to chew over as well. I know there's definitely going to be some opinions on that one. But before we get to that, we obviously have to know why it is that he's angry or why it is that he's saying those things. So let's talk about the transfer window, guys. And please don't forget to smash the like button and smash the subscribe. In fact, actually, before I do that, let me get some. There's a lot of super chats here. Let me get them out of the way, because otherwise, last week we didn't get to them until right at the end, and then we'll move on and go to the transfer window for the next segment. Josh P4K says, Enoch, no stewardship, just neglect and extraction.
Yep.
Okay, thanks, mate. Appreciate you, buddy. We're definitely going to be talking about them in a minute. Ciudini has come in with his absolute standard, absolute support. Always here. Always big up to you, Ciudini. Very much indeed for the super chat. I didn't finish it off. There you go. Thank you very much indeed for that one, my man. Appreciate you, Chew. Always here, always supporting. Phil Coy says, absolute a round of applause to our club captain for calling out these disgraceful owners. The only one who has the bollocks to call it out. Yeah, maybe because he doesn't get any consequences for doing it in the first place 3 times now. I think, listen, we'll talk about that in a minute. But big up to you, Phil Coy. We're definitely going to be talking about that in a second, mate. Appreciate you. Conan Takai says, Lang moving in the shadows. Yeah, listen, I don't know what that guy's... The fact that he spent the last 24 hours of our window trying to convince a player from Hearts to come to us on loan for our under-21s is just so embarrassing. It's not even funny. But big up to you, Conan. We'll be talking about them in just a second. Thank you, mate. Toma83 says, today I miss our chairman, Sean. Levy would have pulled off a deadline day masterclass signing for sure. Clown class disasters. Hashtag clown class disasters. I'm seeing a lot of those. I'm seeing a lot of people tell me that that Daniel Levy would never have allowed this to happen. But again, sure that will come up in a moment. Big up to you, mate. Thank you very much. Stephen J. Cam says, big up, guys. Another disappointing window. So much is wrong with this club. Owners, fake words on ambition, the DOF debacle, lack of squad planning. Yeah. 100%. 100%. It's a mess. It's an absolute mess. I think that much we can all agree on. And which slice of the pie goes to which, or who gets the biggest slice of the pie? I'm guessing we're going to chew that over in the next segment. Big up to you, Stephen. Thank you very much. Simon Pitcher says, you guys are really good. My Sky has gone wrong. This is much better than Sky. The board have played us big time. Appreciate that. The sky is falling as well around Tottenham Hotspur, it feels like, mate. Everyone's in, and rightly so, in meltdown mode. I hope your Sky gets better soon. Thank you very much for your support. Goocology says involving families makes you worse than Lang. Let's leave all that stuff behind, guys. Like I say, mods do the modding, please. Anyone gets personal, just give them a timeout. And if you see them doing it for a second time, kick them. I don't care. I'm not having just nastiness. It's just shit. I know everyone's in a bad mood, but don't take it out on the guests. Hey, official Sean Michael says Forrest Gump had more people on the bench than us. Life was like a box of chocolates. Big up to you, mate. And Jushin says, we've played with a skeleton squad all season. To press and play at pace all game long would be suicide. Frank is having to choose the right moments.
Yeah, but we're 2-0 down. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'd rather see if we've only got 45 minutes in the tank, for sure. I'd like to see it the first 45 minutes, if I'm honest. But better to have 45 minutes than nothing at all, which is what it was against Chelsea and Forest and all that stuff. So the bar might be low, but I think we're moving in the right direction. Big up to you, Jushin. Thank you very much, mate. And Levy gone. All of Enoch next. Big up to you from Australia. Says Frank can get the rest of the season. I don't care. I want Lang, Vinay, and Enoch all gone now. Appreciate you, mate. Appreciate you getting your thoughts off your chest there. We're going to be talking about that stuff in just a second. And my man Nathan, big up to you from Atlanta in America, says maybe we will get a nice new video from Vinay about how the club is dedicated to competing in all competitions. Mate, if he dares come out with a video tomorrow sort of justifying this or apologizing for that, I don't know. Some people want to see it. I almost think he needs to sort of close the curtains, dunk his head in a bucket of ice water and figure out what he's going to say to his bosses or what they're going to say to him. I don't really want to hear the excuses tomorrow, to be honest. Big up to you, Nathan, mate. Thanks very much, my man. And Ledley's Knees says, reports in Spain, United paid Amorim up front for a pre-contract as a guarantee of employment, which up-and-coming coach would... They paid Amorim up front for a pre-contract as a guarantee of employment. Which up-and-coming coach should Spurs sign up for next season? I guess we'll probably save that for the next bit in a minute, mate. But actually, quick answer. Is it? I'm Pochettino. Probably is my choice.
Me too.
Yeah,
Poch as well. Yeah.
I know, Savvy, you say you don't care until the board picks up. Right?
I don't want Poch. I don't want Poch. If he comes, he comes. But it's just nostalgia. Just nostalgia. That's all it is.
Yeah.
I don't want that.
Fair enough. Stel?
Doesn't matter who you bring in. They're all set up to fail. I just don't want a yes man. For me, Frank's a yes man. Andrew's a yes man. Nuno was. I don't want yes men. Yes men.
Deserby. You want Deserby.
So was Conte. So was Josie. Weren't they all yes men? Isn't every manager a yes man?
Conte was the only one that wasn't. The rest were yes. Most of them weren't. They all failed because of it.
If Conte wasn't okay, so but on that basis, if Conte wasn't a yes man, why did he accept 3 or 4 really shit windows?
Well, he gave
yes, because he called it out right at the end when he was basically on his way out. But
he gave it a chance. Listen, Conte's the best manager this club has had in the last 5 years. We shat all over him. I'm glad he left because he's better than us as a club, and he proved it. And he will always be a winner. We as a club, we are not winners. We're not. Our board aren't winners.
That's not an answer to the question. But if he's not a yes man, why didn't he call it out in his first window? Why didn't he call it out how shit it was?
Can I answer? Right. He said, and he's the only manager that's been at this club that said that player they signed I didn't want him. They wanted him. It's a club signing with Jed Spence. He's the only manager that called out a signing and said, they're doing it, not me. You've never heard any manager say that. Frank just nods his head and goes along with it, saying, yeah, they're trying hard. They're trying really hard. And sat there saying, it's down to me to win. It's down to me to do this. Mourinho, after that window where we signed 7 players, he said, they've bought the players. Now it's my job to go on and win. And to be fair, Mourinho probably had the best chance of winning a trophy under this shit regime. But he got sacked before the final. Conte's the only one that called out the transfer window. The rest have gone along with it. And for me, as long as we keep having managers like that, they're going to accept this nonsense that this club keeps doing.
Still, do you not want so let me answer this. Still, do you not think what you want is a manager to call out the lack of backing and stay in his job, correct?
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
And then get the backing. And then get the backing because he's called them out.
Right. You guys are all angry, disappointed, upset with the transfer window, okay? Well, this is what you're going to get with a yes man. This is what you're going to get. They're going to accept it. So
all you get with a no man, still, all you get with a no man is sacked. Amorim calls out the board, gets sacked. Right?
No, Sean. You don't have to publicly be a no man. What I want is a manager that's going to sit down with the board and say, I know better than you. What you think you know regarding football is wrong, and there's 25 years to prove it. Listen to me and listen to my team.
How do you know Frank's not done
how it works still? Because managers are here for 2 years. And players
why are they here for 2 years? Because they accept these crap windows, Sean. They accept this nonsense.
Conte accepted crap windows. Conte
called it out, Sava. He called it.
No, hang on. Sorry, Sean. Sorry. Conte called it right. Let's get this right. See, this is what I love. When fans use the terminology yes man, first and foremost, any manager that calls out their board, they don't win. The manager does not win. Right? When they call out the board, they get sacked. Right? Very few circumstances where people say they didn't. Right? Conte called out one signing with Spence, right? In a window where he had 7 new players, right? So we're saying he was happy with the other 6. We as fans sat there going, well, this is a shit window, but Conte accepted all it other than Spence. And he only called it out when results started to go wrong. If he wasn't a yes man, I'm not saying, by the way, I don't know.
No, you hated Conte, Sava. You never, you were totally against him. You're going to say this. You were so Conte out.
Whoa. Hang on, still. I don't know what your problem is tonight, but this isn't about.
I don't have a problem. I'm just calling out what you're saying. You hated Conte. You wanted him gone. You didn't want him here.
Hang on, Stel, you're doing this thing again. You're playing up to the crowd. I like what you do.
Stop talking to me like I'm a child and you're above me, right? I'm not playing to the crowd. I'm responding to what you're saying. I'm debating you. Don't be condescending.
One at a time, guys. One at a time, please.
Yeah, he's being condescending.
Okay, can you guys? Okay, guys, can you both please, just for the purposes of the show?
This isn't a personality battle. I'm arguing the points.
Can we calm down?
Okay, if we're arguing the points.
Sav, just one second. Guys, can you guys both just calm down, right? Like draw a line under whatever this is. I know, but the energy feels like it's combative. Can we each let each other finish before the other person comes in, and less of the kind of the digs? Otherwise, it's just going to get spicy.
But as usual, this wasn't a debate about who liked Conte as a manager. So that's why it's frustrating we go down that route. This isn't about Conte per se. The argument was, which we're getting away from, because again, this is what happens, was about managers being yes men or no men, which doesn't make any sense. All of these managers accept what they're given and speak out at a later date when it starts going wrong. I don't see any of these managers calling out the windows at the time, right? This is not about what I thought of Conte. If anyone actually listens to what I said about Conte, let me say it from my point of view, because I always hear still say Sava didn't want Conte, right? No, I did not want Conte. Why did I not want Conte, right? What's the first reason I said still? You seem to know what I thought. It's the first reason when Conte was hired that I said, this is not for me at Tottenham. What did I say?
Because you said the board aren't going to back him.
Right. I said the board aren't going to back him. The man is a winner. And Spurs simply cannot give this man.
No, you hated the football, Sava. You hated the football. You called it turgid and saying his football is stubborn. No, but you're not saying everything that you said. You're saying the bit that kind of makes you right with what you're saying, but you didn't say the rest of it.
So let him finish. And come back.
This is every time I watch this show.
Sorry, Lilywhite, he asked me a question. Hold on.
Still,
he asked me a question. I'm answering the question.
He asked you a question. I'm trying to finish.
He said, Stell, what did I say? I'm trying to answer what you said. Then don't ask me the question.
Wait.
He asked me, Stell, what did I say?
Still,
I'm trying to tell you what you said.
Still, you might have 3 questions you want to answer, but let him finish.
Yeah,
this is
just hard work.
He asked me the question.
Okay.
Guys, fucking hell. Come on.
Right. I asked you, what's the first thing I said why I didn't want him? Right. That's all I asked. I didn't ask for a potted history of everything I said. Right. I don't particularly like Conte's style. No. Right. I don't. The main reason when he first joined said this manager is never going to work at Tottenham Hotspur. Right. He is a winner. He goes into clubs and he wins things in year 1, year 2. He doesn't do 3, 4, 5 year projects. Right. He doesn't do that. So when we're talking about this is the manager we back long term, it was never going to happen with Conte. He's explosive. He goes, right? That's exactly what happened. He wants Lautaro Martinez. We can't give him that. And Lautaro Martinez don't want to join Spurs. He wants a Bastoni. Bastoni don't want to join Tottenham Hotspur. So I never wanted Conte in the first place. But I'm really not sure what that's got to do with the whole yes man aspect, which is what we're getting away from. Every manager, whether it's Jose, Conte, whether it's Pep, they have windows that they don't like. They don't all just come out and rage at the board because they know they're going to lose their job. Conte came out, what he said wasn't wrong, but Conte started doing that. If you know, the beginning of that season, notice everybody, Conte got off to a flyer, didn't he? Do you remember? Conte got off to a flyer at the beginning of that season. And after like 15 games or something, it was our best start to a Premier League season. Something like that, right? I don't know the exact numbers, right? It was only when he started to lose games regularly in the second half of the season, right? And all the pressure started coming like it does normally with a Spurs manager about that time, that he then started to do the whole, nothing's going to change. I've not been backed. That's fine to do it then. But if they're not yes men, why doesn't he call it out in the summer when he gets 7 signings? Why does he not call it out then? I'll tell you why he doesn't call it out then. He called out Jed Spence as one signing who was a young right wing back. He didn't call out Richarlison or Basuma or Perisic or was he Longley or Longley? He didn't call out any of them. He just called out one right wing back.
He did more than any other manager.
Sure, but you're mistaking my point. In the first 18 months, Conte didn't say anything. So far, Frank hasn't said anything.
He came mid-season and he got us top 4. Then when I thought, and many fans thought he'd earned the right to be backed properly in the summer because from nowhere he turned Harry Kane around, got him back on board, got us top 4. Most of us thought, right, now we're going to really back him. And then when we didn't, that's when he spoke up. And that's when he called out Jed Spence.
Right, okay, and that's fine.
Can I just interject for a second?
What's Frank done so far for you to say he's a yes man? Isn't Frank the one, if I'm not wrong, guys, isn't Frank the one that turned around in the summer and said, I don't want to just accept anyone. The recruitment team aren't aligned with what I'm looking for. If he's a yes man, why would he say that? This isn't about Frank per se, but all of them to a degree have to go along with it,
so then he wants Harry Wilson from Hearts, does he? Or James Wilson?
Can we just get
that? Is that the player Frank wants? James Wilson from Hearts.
Rather than just
doing he hasn't come into. Did Frank ask for James Wilson from Hearts then?
I'll answer it. Wilson hasn't gone into Frank's squad. So that's got nothing to do with him. He's gone into the academy on loan. He's nothing to do with Thomas Frank right now, is he?
Did he want Sousa from Brazil, 19-year-old left back?
But if we're going to do that, then so does that mean then that Conte's a yes man?
I'm just asking a question. Did Frank?
We don't know.
But we can do that with every single manager, can't we? Did they want that signing? So
that's exactly what I'm doing. Yes, that's what I'm doing.
Is Pep Guardiola a yes man because he got Calvin Phillips from Leeds? Like,
can we just get back to the point here?
Crazy.
We're going around in circles about specific things, but the idea of calling out an owner. Let's be entirely honest. They do it when they want to be sacked.
Yes.
Like, it happens. It's not just a Tottenham thing. And by the way, it's also not just a Tottenham thing where you can't let the manager dictate 100% of the signings because managers are here for 18 months on average. And the players that they sign are here for 5 or 6 years. And so they're going to see 3 different iterations of management, not just at Tottenham, but at every Premier League club, with the exception of a couple that break the mold and go on to for 6 or 7 years. And that's a very, very rare thing. It's only happened 10 times in the entire Premier League history. Right. So the idea that a manager should say, give me everything I want, shut up, you're not a football guy, I am, I know what's best for you, when they're only there for a couple of years, first of all, they will then stop caring about the future of the football club. They don't care about the Harry Wilsons, or whatever his name is, James Wilsons. They don't care about the Sousas. They want £50 million players today because they might not be in a job tomorrow. But the football club can't just operate in the here and now.
How does that model work for us, Sean?
I haven't said a lot of time. Let me finish my point. Right. It's not about a Tottenham model, mate. It's a football model. That's why there's a DOF. The DOF has to have one eye on the future. The manager has to have entirely on the present.
How is that working for Tottenham, Sean? How is it working?
It's not working right now, but that's the problem.
Exactly. You've got yes men who accept this. You've got yes men who accept what you're saying, Sean.
No, you are.
I don't want to hear it because you defend it.
You're pitching ideal solutions where you give the manager absolutely everything they want, and it always works out. Hang on, let me finish. No, you said bring the manager who's not a yes man, who says I want the keys to the kingdom. Do as I say. And it doesn't work that way in any football club, not at Tottenham, but every football club has a DOF model because they need to have one eye on the present and one eye on the future. Now, within that, there are problems because the DOF has a different set of KPIs to the manager. And at Tottenham specifically, we create a whole nother bunch of problems when you brought in 2 DOFs. So I think that whole thing is ridiculous. But the notion that you should just give the manager what he wants and fuck everything else and forget about the future because the manager's not going to care about signing someone for the youth team that might be good in 5 years because he won't be there. The kind of pitch that you're making is just entirely unrealistic in reality, mate. It's never going to happen.
Can I explain to you what I'm saying we need in terms of a manager? Because my response, just everyone gets rattled. My answer to every question every week just rattles everyone because I say it as I see it. I want a manager that's going to come in, tell them exactly how it needs to work. And if they don't want to listen to him because they know better, then they've accepted their methods. And if they're going to use their methods, they then can't complain when they're not backed or they're giving these kids or the team is falling apart because they're not being given the adequate tools. They can't have it both ways. When they first come in, lay it down or just test the water, then there comes to a point where they say, right, enough's enough. I'm not tolerating this anymore because what you're doing is fundamentally flawed, and it happens every year, every manager.
Can you not see that every single manager then is only going to care about what's in their best interest and not what's in the football club's best interest? Because eventually their contract will run out or they'll be sacked if it doesn't work.
I would like to believe that any manager that comes to Tottenham Hotspur wants to be a winner at this club and lift trophies and not just come
in the short term.
Sean, if you win trophies and then you keep building on it, why can't it be long term?
Because a manager doesn't last that. A manager that you're pitching idyllic scenarios that just doesn't work. If you give the manager,
you're selling the failed model. Your model.
I'm selling reality, mate. It's not a Tottenham thing. It's a
the reality is we fail every year. We're 14th in the league. That's reality. We're 14th, Sean. That's reality.
But you're pitching a situation that not a single other football club in the Premier League or in world football, as far as I'm aware, does. Okay?
Yeah, everyone has a director of football. Those clubs have got good systems in place so that they can work different. At this club, what you're saying doesn't. At Tottenham, that doesn't work here because we're run by schmucks. We've been run by schmucks for 25 years.
If we're run by schmucks, what can any manager do? Like that's what I don't like. I take. Do you know what? I'm trying to meet.
They shouldn't accept this.
Hang on.
Don't accept this.
So, sure, I'm trying to meet halfway in the middle. But the problem with this is, on the one hand, you're bashing the owners, which I don't disagree with, right? And on the other hand, bashing the managers for saying they accept this. Which manager, right? Here's my question to you. Which manager can come into this club with these owners right now, and in their interview, they turn around and go, I am only accepting this, and this. If not, I'm not joining. Because you know what? They don't then join the club, right? This is the problem. So, for example, forget that his name's Thomas Frank right now, because I don't want to debate about Thomas Frank. But right now, what can Thomas Frank do when he's given a window like this what I know fans going, he's a yes man. Listen to what he said. What can he actually do, barring calling out his boss? What can he actually do in public that makes fans
and
like
how does
you and
that
others
end?
that say he's a yes man? What can he do?
And how does that end every single time?
Yeah,
Oliver Glasner has been begging for the sack for the last month, but Parish
Yeah.
won't do it because he doesn't want to give out a free compensation pack. Right? Amorim called out the boss. He wants to get sacked. Conte wanted to get sacked. Eddie Howe called out the DOF. The DOF ended up getting sacked, but he's not been happy. There's countless examples. It always ends one way. The owners don't sit there and say, "No, you're right. You're right to call us a bunch of idiots." Like, you're pitching some scenario still that just doesn't work, mate. It might be a perfect solution in your mind, but it doesn't.
It doesn't work because no one does it. It doesn't work because the managers accept it. And until that is broken, until that chain is once and for all broken, we are in the constant cycle of failure, rinse, repeat.
So you answer my question then. What should he do right now? What should he do right now then to show that he's not accepting it? In your ideal world that I don't think exists, what should Frank, as the manager right now, be doing as Tottenham manager in regards to the transfer win? What should he do for you to show that he's not a yes man?
He should be saying in the press conferences, I have got a depleted squad. I'm doing the best I can. But what can any manager do when they've got this many injuries? It would have been nice to have a few more players come in to help us, but they haven't. And then we're starting to be like,
that in as many words.
No. What he's saying is they're trying really hard. They're doing their best. He's smooching them. And then when we do sign players that aren't going to go straight in and start to help us, he should be saying that's not the answer. Like Conor Gallagher came to the club, he starts straight. I'm trying to answer your question, right? Conor Gallagher comes in, he starts straight away. This Sousa kid, he doesn't come in straight away. This Wilson kid, he goes into the academy. He should be calling out and saying, that's what we need. That's not what we need right now.
Oh, but still,
think... Hang on. Let me retort, Sean.
Okay, but in a couple, we got to wrap because I want to bring Lubo in because he hasn't spoken. So Sav, carry on. But I do want to bring Lubo into the conversation.
So in your scenario, Thomas Frank as the manager, whoever the manager is right now, should be turning around and saying, yeah, we've signed Sousa, but he's not the answer. I don't rate him. We need better.
In a more articulate way, yes.
I mean, that's just. I mean, no, any manager does that.
That's not happening. That's not happening.
But no manager does that at any football.
Because they're yes men.
Okay, cool. Okay, fine. Okay, listen, we're going around in circles.
Lubo,
let me ask you a question. I'll let you go into where you want to go with Lubo to chime in on this one, Lubo. But I do want you to also add, because Stell is suggesting a scenario here where, and he might be right, but we don't know.
Sure, Romero's doing it. Hang on,
we'll talk about Romero in a minute. Lubo, where Stell's pitching a scenario where Thomas Frank is furious with the outcome of the window and that he should call it out. Lubo, we spoke about this earlier with Savra on my channel. I want to ask you the question in front of these guys, this chat. How much responsibility does fall on the recruitment team? Not the owners necessarily, but the owners are a separate thing, but the recruitment team for the setup that may have included vetoing, right? If Paratici and Langer and Vinay and Mackenzie and Frank are all getting in the room, and in order to get to an agreement on going after a target, they all have to agree. Is there a chance that maybe Thomas Frank has just said, I don't want that guy, and therefore he's part of the reason why we don't have better players coming in this window?
Well, he is, isn't he? I mean, at the end of the day, Paratici came through with players, Lang came through with players. Frank gets to say, Frank also comes through with players as well. I'm not Enoch in, I'm Enoch out. But if the family have actually, as Ali Gold said to the recruitment team, there is 150 million available to spend on the right
and more
players,
behind it. Yeah.
Then what we finished up now with is we've got Johnson out, Gallagher in. I know they're different positions. I'm just talking about senior pros. And that's it. And then you've got Sousa in, Wilson in, who's an academy player now. You got the kid from West Ham. Mason Melia's in. I mean, all you've got is kids coming in. I'm sure I know I've missed one. And that's
But,
all.
the question is, like, is Thomas Frank a part of the reason why more experienced, better players are not here on February the 2nd?
If
Or
players,
is he just a victim of what Stell is suggesting, which is the leadership of the club not giving him any access to those tools?
well, I'm sure he's probably been thrown under the bus with this transfer window because we've lost 9 players in January through injury, and quite a few of them are going to be out for most of the rest of the season. So for me, there's been no, they're not even, let alone proactive. They haven't even been reactionary to these injuries. And for me, I think Frank's been thrown under the bus. And I think that if Nick Boucher's got Viv Lewis's son-in-law, who's come in to look at the club now and micromanage the club, I'm not sure whether it's short-term or long-term. But if he can't see that this recruitment team have had 4 months, this is what they're paid to do. They are, you've got people like Lang, you've got people like Rob McKenzie, who's the chief scout, Lang, who's now the sole DOF. They've had 4 months.
Right, but back in September, mates, Thomas Frank said, and still Saba brought it up earlier, it's a salient point, right? He said, I've come here. I don't want to say that the Brentford system was better, but it's better, basically. And so he then followed up by saying, I don't want to bring in people that aren't going to move the needle for me. So he's not even really inferring it. He's kind of explicitly saying what I was offered in the summer, I wasn't particularly impressed with. I wanted Savio, I wanted Eze, I wanted Gibbs White. None of those 3 came over. I wanted Morgan Rogers. That wasn't possible. And so we ended up with what we ended up with. And then we got in loans, maybe because Thomas Frank, I'm not trying to deflect or take any responsibility away from other areas. If you want to make it about Enoch, cool. If you want to make it about Vinay, cool, whatever. But just on the Thomas Frank thing, because the question here is still saying the manager needs to call the board out. Is there a possibility, and I don't know, I'm just asking the question, is there a possibility that Thomas Frank has been offered players once again throughout the last 4 or 5 months by this team, and he's gone, no, don't want these players. This isn't what I want. You don't know what I want. Correct. And they go, well, who do you want? And he said, Semenyo. I want Fofana. I want, I want Yildiz. I want Diamandi. And then they've gone after all of them. And as Paul O'Keefe said, all of the 6 profiles, they weren't available, either because they went somewhere else, they got injured, or they weren't able to leave. And so is Thomas Frank responsible for shooting himself in the foot by having expectations of his own demands that the club really couldn't qualify?
Well, if you look at the players that, number one, firstly, the answer to that is yes, because Frank's called out Lang in the summer, basically, and said, Lang's working to a different criteria than what he's been used to at Brentford. So fine, he's called out Lang. This is not what I want. So Lang has now got to start thinking, right, he's now got to get on the same page as Thomas Frank. Frank has brought in Paulinho, who's a leader, Prem proven. Kudus, Prem proven. Gallagher, Prem proven. Okay, these are the sort of athletic, strong players that you can see Frank is bringing in.
Xavi Simons.
Hang on one second. Then you've had 2 late injuries. I say late. I mean, Solanke was July, but they messed about with him. Again, the medical team tried to patch him up, tried to get him through without the operation that he needed. So Solanke's got injured again, coming on a sub at Man City on the 23rd of August, week to the end of the transfer window. He's come back after bank holiday on the Tuesday. They decided he's got to go in for an operation. They've got 5 days now to get a replacement for Solanke. So they brought Moani in last minute. Madison's injured, did his Cruciates in August. They brought Xavi Simons in. Again, reactionary, last minute. Simons will turn out to be a very good buy, I'm sure. But again, that was an opportunity, not something that was planned, because Simons allegedly was, on Chelsea's radar and going there. So there doesn't seem to be any seeking of ideas of working together between Frank and the recruitment team. And
that in and of itself is surely partly responsible for why we end up where we do on February the 3rd, right?
Absolutely. And these guys have had 4 months between transfer windows to put their plans in action. This is what they're paid to do. This is their job. It's all to do with the summer window and the January window, and their whole essence, everything that they are employed to do is geared around these two windows. And they have the first window. Frank's come in. He's walked into a situation, and halfway through the window, he said, "Hang on a sec. This is not right. This is not how I work." So fine, they've got to change. So I understood to an extent why the summer window wasn't as good as it should have been.
Right, but in the last 4 months, right, if Thomas Frank has said this is more what I want, right, he's tried to, I don't know, hand over the Brentford blueprint, for example, right? That's what we're assuming here, right? Thomas Frank said, "Guys, this is dog shit. This isn't this. What we're doing here, we're well off." And then he's worked with them throughout the autumn and the winter, and then we come up with our list. He said we've got our first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth profile in every position, and every single one of them didn't end up coming to Tottenham. Then either Thomas Frank thinks that, like, coming from Brentford to Tottenham, we have more draw than we really do, or possibly it's really that bad, as we suggested. A lot of us suggested during the final weeks of December. Who the fuck would come to Tottenham right now that's any good when they're looking at the shit show of the club, the state of the play? Maybe we've been rejected by loads of people and we just don't know it.
Maybe, but maybe sure.
Or maybe Thomas Frank has been cop blocking his own potential signings because he's not happy with what the scouts and that have been offering him.
Maybe.
Either way, he's ended up running the gauntlet on his own career at Tottenham, because he's to some degree, whatever level, to some degree, we ended up where we are, and he now has to face the next 4 months at the moment with 13 fit players.
That's right. Well, listen, we got Conor Gallagher, who's an England international in the window. So I don't buy into this thing that Spurs are just not, Tottenham are a totally unattractive club that players don't want to go to. I'm sure, if you can bring in Paulinho and you can bring in Kudus and Xavi Simons as well, these are good players, and Gallagher. So there's no reason why Spurs shouldn't be bringing in players of that level, because we're already bringing in players at that level. Do
you believe that ENIC gave 100 million quid or 150 million quid to the team and said, spend it, profile away and spend it?
I'm sure the money was there and available to spend. They brought 90 million in early, didn't they, Sean? By drawing against the TV money,
the payday loan in September, yeah. And 100 million in November. That was also promised. And there was promises that there was more behind it. When you need it, let us know, and there'll be more behind it. That's what Ali Gold said, right?
That's right. That's what he said, and he must have heard that. I presume he's heard that from the club. He wouldn't be coming out with stuff like that unless it was. You would think, unless it was.
So you would imagine then, by proxy of that the owners have secured funding for the transfer window, and then it hasn't been spent for whatever reason. Is that fair assumption?
I may be wrong, but I genuinely do believe that the money was there available to spend, and I just think that. People, West Ham bought strikers. Liverpool gone and tied up the Rennes centre back. Deals are being done. You can get them done. There may not be the amount of deals in January that there have been in previous years, but you can still go out if they have done their job, and not, if they've gone after 5 wingers, if they've gone after Fofana, who's injured, Savinho, who's injured. Akliouche has been there all January. Why leave it to the last minute before you go in for him, and then Monaco say, well, there's no time to get a replacement? Just nonsense. It's just nonsense. So for me, McKenzie and Lang have got to go. I think they have done an absolutely shit job, and they don't deserve. They haven't earned their job at the club. This is a big club, and they're not big people, and they're not the right people, in my opinion.
Lubo, I'm confused. You're saying McKenzie and Lange need to go, but last week you pointed your finger at the camera and said, Vinay, if you're watching this, and you went mad at Vinay. So is it now Lange and McKenzie, or who?
Still, he is sitting watching this bullshit going on. And what makes it worse is that he's come out with the shit to try to just to come out and derail the protest. And he's come out with all this shit 2 weeks ago. We're going for this. We're doing this. Where, Vinay? Show me where. Well, as I said the other day.
I can't stand the show and listen to this. I literally can't listen to this. because my veins are going to explode with what I'm listening about. I'm going to lose it.
You can say and do all you want. What I will,
you are on a different level.
No,
you and Johnny.
I haven't finished yet, and I will reiterate what I said last week and the week after. When Vinay came in, and he's coming out and he's doing the interviews, and he's actually engaging with the fans. This is something that ENIC have not done up to then in 25 years. So for me, I thought that was great, terrific. That's a sign in the right direction. Since then, unfortunately, I thought he was going to do a lot better, but no, he hasn't. The first job he had to do was designate when Paratici came back in. You never saw Gabbianini come back in, did you? Who was Paratici's right-hand man? Paratici's gone. You've got to look at it and think, well, Paratici's hung around, and he's been around for 2 years while he's been banned. Then I got that wrong. As it turned out, it didn't work out. Paratici's gone. Right? Big mistake on Vinay's part. All this chat about coming out and saying, we want this, we want that. The owners want trophies. We're going to give the manager every support. Sorry, 2 weeks ago, where is it, Vinay? What have you done in this transfer window? And he is in charge. He is in charge. The buck stops with him. He's the guy now. He's the CEO that's running the football side, the whole thing for the Lewis family. What's he doing? What's he done? What's he done?
Sure.
He started off you've landed your point. You landed your point.
I don't want to speak. What I want to ask you is one thing. Can you give me 5 minutes on this subject after the others have had their say, and let everyone have their say? I just need 5 minutes, and that's it. That's it.
Okay.
Please.
Yeah, I mean that's a fuck of a long monologue, but yeah.
Okay, 4 minutes.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, no worries. But Sarah, I want to bring you back in before we do then, because none of us know what's going on. I think Lubo does ask some pertinent questions around what the hell's going on. Who is it that's in charge? There's rumours out that this Nick fella from Tavistock is actually the guy that's got to sign things off, and it goes to some panel or committee, which is a bunch of bottlenecks in the process. But Sarah, I've got obviously every department gets their own shit on this one. But I just want to ask the question to you, Sarah. Do you think that Thomas Frank has and the recruitment team are more responsible or less responsible than the owners for why it is that this window has been such an absolute shit show? So either the owners haven't put the money up and there's nothing to work with, or they have put the money up and then they are obviously responsible for putting together the team that do this shit so that it all regresses to the top, if you like. But how do you see it?
It's all of it. If we step away from point scoring for 1 minute and who said what and he said this and they said that, what does any of it matter? It's another ENIC transfer window. We do every window. We try and break down whose fault. Is it the manager? Is it the players? Is it Vinay? Is it Levy? Is it Charrington? Is it Joe Lewis? This is Tottenham. Isn't this window what we do? Before we try and blame one person, this has got to be all of them. It's not aligned. You called it, Sean, when you said the idea of Paratici and Lang working together is never going to work. You're hearing rumours that one of them wants this player, one of them wants that player. Frank wants this player, but so-and-so doesn't want to sign off on it. How can we sit here and say one person gets this is all of it.
Yeah,
there is no
blame,
there's no direction. There's no leadership. There's no football man running the football. And whatever we think, whether people like a player, whether they like a manager, whether they like a director of football, whether they like a CEO, this is Spurs for 25 years. This is no different what we've seen in this window to any other window. A window of indecisiveness, a window of reports that this person wants this and this person said no to that, and we all take it as gospel. So one person hears, for example, that Frank said no to Lookman. Everyone runs with it. Oh, it's Frank. Next person says, oh, no, Lang didn't want this play. It's all Lang. The whole thing, if we stop for one, as I said, Sean, if we stop for 1 minute with the point scoring and the I'm right, you're wrong, the whole thing is a circus. Yeah, right? And as I've said, when people are going on about who do you want as manager next, I don't care until you get a football guy in to run the club, whether that is Ralph Rangnick, just using names for example, by the way, whether it's Campos, Rangnick, whether it's Monchi, somebody that's given the keys as the director of football, and they say, right, this guy is going to oversee us for the next 5 years, right? Have patience over the next 5 years. This guy's in charge of the budget. He's in charge of all things football. He's going to bring in the manager he wants. He's going to be in charge. He has the final say as to whether or not we sign off a player, because he's going to be here longer than any manager is. Until we do that,
someone with credibility, someone with acumen. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
We've got to the 2nd of January, Sean, right? We got to the 2nd of January and everyone wants to blame the one person they hate the most, right? If that's Frank, they want to blame Frank. If it's Lang, if it's Vinay, all that matters is Spurs, once again, not delivered what they needed to support the club. Forget who the manager is. This club needs support. This squad needs support. We've not done it again. And we're all sitting here ripping the shit out of each other but you like this person, you like, none of it matters. Until that changes, I'm done with it. Like, what does it matter if you sign in, what's his name? Who's the kid? James Will. Right now, what's it matter? What's it matter if you go and sign Akliouche if there's no plan to go along with that? It's just a mess. The whole thing's a mess.
Yeah, fair enough, mate. Fair enough. Listen, I think everyone should be able to agree that, you know, from top to bottom, it's a pizza buyer blame. Everyone gets a slice, and depending on your particular vision, some slices are bigger than others. Stel, it's 1 hour and 16.5 minutes into this show. You have until 1 hour and 21 minutes to say your piece. So monologue on, my man. Monologue on.
I blame Frank for the tactics and his negative approach to games where he should be more adventurous. I blame the board for the mess that we're seeing in general, because it's always been them. It will always be them. I got called 6 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, toxic, negative. I hate the club because I said, we've got to get ENIC out. ENIC are the problem. They'll always be the problem. In the summer, when Levy left, when there was changes, Sharrington came in, Vinay came in, people were waxing lyrical. People were defending him. And I said, guys, it's the same shit over again. Guys, here we go again. You've been sucked in, blah, blah, blah. And we've just, Vinay's come in and they've re-signed Ben Davies. Look at the way we're doing our transfers. Nothing's changed. It's the same patterns. I know where this is going to go. I'm not surprised one bit, right? And the reason I just can't take this is because no one was saying this back then. And I was trying to say to people, guys, everyone's jumping on this bandwagon. Look at what's going on. This is the same patterns we've seen many, many times. I got called ridiculous. I got called, I'm talking twaddle. I got told I'm not in reality, right? Please just watch this. Right, watch this. 6 months ago. What I do know is I'm seeing all the telltale signs of great PR, a couple of reshuffles in the boardroom, great media spin to just woo the fans, just reel everyone in again, and then bang, we'll be back to square one in a couple of years. I'm seeing the same patterns again. I'm seeing the same patterns again. And it concerns me.
Their reality, with the greatest respect, you can say it's spin, but it's reality. Peter Charrington's come in as former head of Citibank and Joe Lewis's private banker. It's not a spin. He's been put on the board because they weren't happy with what was going on. And Vinay has come in with his years, his big.
He was a PR man at Arsenal. He's taken Donna Cullen's role. He's just Donna Cullen on steroids.
Don't be so ridiculous. Stel, come on, mate. Mate. No.
Arsenal fans praised him for his engagement with the fan base. He's great with the fans. He knows how to finesse and caress.
You're talking twaddle, mate, right? There's no way.
No, right? Right. That's how that conversation began. And, Johnny didn't want to hear it. I've got 2 minutes left, by the way. And then after that, I doubled down on my stance and I said, guys, this is where we're going to go because everyone's got sucked in on this. And I said, you're jumping on the bandwagon. And I got told I'm talking shit. Look at the bigger picture. I'm being petty. This was the next bit of what happened. What I'm seeing is just a reshuffle. There's always a reshuffle at Spurs. If it's not the football director, it's another body in the board, or this guy's come in to be above the director like Mum was. And Every time we reshuffle, it gets binned 2-3 years later. The next shuffle comes in, and the only indicator I, as a fan, look at is, let me see how this all impacts my football team. And when I look at my football team, nothing's changed. Nothing's changed.
Still, mate, you're talking.
What do I care about Vinay and his investments and charity and what he's going to bring in?
Hang on a second.
The first thing they do is re-sign Ben Davies.
Hang on.
Why is he still at the club?
Mate,
why is Ben Davies on tour?
You're talking absolute shite. Honestly, I can't actually believe. I actually just doing it for like.
Why do you cheer on Ben Davies next season? Let me know how it goes.
Listen, right? It's petty, mate. It's petty because what you're not looking at the bigger picture. Mate, you've got to look at the big picture, mate. If you want to draw in investment into the club and turn this club around, you want to turn the club around. You need money in. The club needs money, right? And if you think you're going to draw that with the people that were on the ball before, right, you're having a laugh, right? If you're going to tell me the former head of Citibank has come in and he's just going to sit there and sign a couple of checks and do nothing, and Vinay's come in for no reason at all, and they're not looking to make the club a better club, then honestly, I don't know what to say.
We hired the guy 5 years ago to get a stadium contract deal.
Why'd you go on about 5 years ago? I'm talking about now.
Because it's the same pattern, Johnny.
No,
then
how can it be the same pattern when he's only
changes?
Ride,
and you jumped on this bandwagon.
Mate, I have not jumped on the bandwagon, mate.
This is
nothing changes. Nothing changes.
You're out of time. Listen, I'm not doing this as a gotcha, which I think you just did to try and get Johnny. But someone sent me.
I'm trying to say, guys. I said 6 months ago, nothing's changed. It hasn't changed.
You also did this when Daniel Levy left, and so did Lubo.
Still,
sure.
We got our Tottenham back. 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 We got our Tottenham back.
Yeah, because I'm happy. He's part of the problem as well. He's got to go too.
No, but you were celebrating it like everything was better, and it's not
because we fought 6 years to get rid of Levy and Enoch. We got rid of Levy. Now we got to get rid of Enoch. That's why we've always said Enoch out, Levy out.
So you're saying nothing's changed, but you thought things were changing.
I was happy that Levy was gone, Sean. Absolutely. But I also said in that summer, people say a lot of things. Nothing's changed with Enoch. People
say a lot of things in the moment, and then if you're going to do revision, like pull things up from clips before, we're all guilty of saying things in the moment that then don't correlate.
All the protests, the banner in the background that we hang across the road from the shop said Enoch out, Levy out. It always said both of them out. The scarves we wear say Enoch out, Levy out. They all have to go. Nothing will change with these owners, and you're seeing it now. They have to go. That's the problem. The one thing I agree with Sava is it's not just Frank. And I admit that. My issue with Frank is his negative tactics in certain games. But the bigger picture is Vinay, Charrington, Joe Lewis's kids. Hey, they all stink. All of them stink. And I knew this was going to happen in the summer because you can see the patterns. And what you're seeing now are the same patterns we've seen for 25 years. A dog shit window when we're on our knees. When we're choking as a club, we signed 2 kids in Gallagher.
Mm-hmm. All right, listen, let's move on to the next. We're going for an hour and 23 minutes. A couple of super chiddly chit chats, and then we will we'll crack on. Russell Coit, big up to you. He says, I finally understand Lubo's pain. I'm not sure what Lubo's pain is. What's your pain, Lubo?
Enoch, Levy, the way 25 years.
A minute ago, you were blaming the recruitment team, not Enoch. You were saying that Enoch had put forward the money.
But you know what? If Enoch have employed these people, and if they're not going to do anything about it, Sean, then it's pointless. The whole thing's pointless. Just close the club. I mean, it's just pointless. If these people are not interested in the football side, and if they can't recognise what a fuck up Lange and Mackenzie have made, and Paratici, if he's been involved in the discussion since September,
sure.
If they don't recognise what's going on at this club,
yep. No, I hear you.
They're just bad.
I'm more than happy for everything to change it on. I'm more than happy for Enoch to sell. I'd like to know who's going to be buying it because I feel like a lot of people are like Enoch out at all costs. Whether that's my mate Brooklyn Eric, And I'm going to try and get on the show at some point in the free once the takeover goes
Sean,
done. Whether it's this guy Wings ING. I mean, do we know anything about him? Do you really want him to come in? Go on, Steph.
Sean, 1 minute. You're being a fraud now. You go to the protest and you're not even ENIC out. You don't even mean it.
I'm going there for content. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. So you can't say. So have you now moved? Now are you now saying, do you know what? Let's change the owners. Is that what you are?
Hang on a second. I've always from day one. Don't rewrite my.
We argued about it. No, because we argued about it on the last show for about 10 minutes.
All I have ever done is defend Daniel Levy against what I believe to be unreasonable criticism. I've never defended Joe Lewis. I've never defended ENIC. I've always defended Daniel Levy against what I think is a unipolar blame game of people that I don't think look outside the club to see the other factors that are responsible for why we don't win as many trophies as you guys think we should. But that's all I've ever done. I've always been okay with it. I've always supported the protest. Always. I've always wished you well. I've always promoted them on every iteration of it. I just don't think that Daniel Levy was as bad as a lot of people do. And I think he gets very little credit and a lot of the and all of the hate. As far as ENIC go, couldn't give a fuck. And as far as the new version of ENIC, I saw that bait and switch a mile off, and I couldn't stand it. I said, I can't stand these two coming in here and trying to reverse engineer the whole solution. And to be fair to them, to give them what they wanted, clearly by the state of the protest this time versus last season when it was all about Daniel Levy, clearly their bait and switch has worked like a treat because most people now don't talk about ENIC. They talk about Frank that's on the park. So clever PR spin from them. I think it's load of bollocks. In terms of do I want new owners? If there's new owners that can come in and do better, for sure. Am I of the belief that all owners equals better owners? 100% not. I've been very consistent about that ever since I've joined the YouTube space. Guys, I've gone, Sav. I've got the super chat.
Oh, sorry, I thought you finished. Sorry.
No, I hadn't started them. I just did the first one. Can I press pause? I'll come back to this particular point. Mike Zappa says, before we get all nostalgic about Levy, do you remember all those stories about Levy begging the owners for money to buy Hazard, Grealish, Fernandes? No, me neither. Well, he did go to Joe Lewis to ask for more money, and Joe Lewis said no unless we dilute you. So there's that as well, Mike. But I appreciate you, my man. But yeah, 100%. Look, if we're going to go back and talk about Hazard and Fernandes again, then we'll be here until.
Sean, by the way, can I just to top up on what you just said?
Yeah, sure.
On the last show, remember how he spoke about that Dortmund result? The Frankfurt result and automatic qualification now kills off all the protests. The protest didn't even happen on the weekend.
No,
and that's what I mean. That's a real problem. I'd like to speak about that, in a minute when we get to it. But I want to move on to the Romero thing. But I know Sava wanted to come back in as well. Just let me get these last two super chats. And big up to you guys. Please do smash the like button if you enjoyed the debate tonight. It's quite spicy. Coy's Hotspur says, question to the panel: why won't ENIC just F off in your opinion? Because I'm baffled what they want. It's not a successful club, that is for sure. I think the simple answer is they don't want to sell until they've maximised they've got 100% of the revenue or the output that's possible with the full project, and the full project off the pitch is nowhere near complete. I don't think they want to hand over money to other people to pick off the low hanging fruit. Does anyone else have any different takes on that, or should we move on?
No, I think that's fair comment, but they are going to get a shock, I think, in the summer, because I heard a couple of years ago that someone who was 31,000 on the season ticket waiting list got a call. So people are dropping out. These season tickets cost a lot of money, and if people aren't getting value for money, there's a cost of living crisis going on still that isn't going to change in the next year. I can't see with this government. So for me, they are going to get a shock because, well, listen, we lost 40,000 on the Champions League, 40,000 unsold tickets. They will be aware of this. They'll be aware of this. So I think they'll sell within the next year or two. The shiny toy won't look so shiny in a year's time.
I think fans will go regardless. That Man City game was a complete sellout. It was premium price tickets. I think our fan base, give them a couple of wins, they'll be there. As long as we just keep ticking, I don't think this exodus or season ticket renewal is not happening. I don't believe it. I think there's enough paying customers that will keep coming. And when they look at their spreadsheets and they look at how much they invest in the team, how many points they've got on the table, are they in Europe, not in Europe, customers coming in, it'll all add up to them. To them, it will add up. It's like, yeah, we're doing all right. I don't think what you're saying is going to happen, dude. I wish you were right. I just don't see it.
Still, we got off to a very good start this year. We were third. We had 14 points from the first 7 games when the international break came in October. If we get off to a bad start next year, if Romero's say gone, Van der Ven's gone, and we're not bringing in players to proper players to replace them, and we're not strengthening the squad either, and we get off to a bad start, we get off maybe not quite a Wandy Ramos start in 2008, but pretty bad. You'll see their tendencies dip. They will dip. People won't watch it. I'm telling you.
Lubo, our fan base, we're making videos in the summer about how Vuskovic is the perfect Van der Ven replacement and how tactically it's a masterclass we bought him. That's what's going to happen.
Okay. Listen, we've got half my left. We've got lots of topics to talk about. So I just want to pick up to Ledley's knee. Says, isn't it obvious they just don't believe in Frank? I think that's regarding the transfer strategy. I think that's what you're talking about there. Big up to you, Ledley's knees. I'm going to come back to Luke Wardle's one here, mate. That's about the protest, which we're going to talk about just at the end after we talk about Romero. Sav, sorry, you wanted to come in, mate, and say something a minute ago. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think when if everyone removes their ego and their Spurs hat for 1 minute and kind of takes a step outside and looks in at Tottenham, I think what people were hoping for in the summer was that we see a change. I think this was their opportunity to demonstrate that something was different. Now, it's a very small sample size, 1 January window. I get that. But this was really their chance, Sean, for me to show, like, as I said, they had a chance to throw Levy under the bus, in essence, didn't they? They had a chance this window to do a couple of bits where we all go, God, there you go. It was Levy. It wasn't ENIC. Look how differently ENIC have acted. Yeah. And I think that's what a lot of people are probably angry about, is that the very first window without Levy has been arguably one of the worst windows we've ever seen at the club. Yeah. And now that doesn't mean that that's the sample size over years. We can only judge it on 6 months. But so far, nothing has changed. Now, we could get to the summer and do what Spurs do, have a shit window. Or we could get to the summer and suddenly there's 5 or 6 top players that come in and we go, oh my God, it is different. But as of now, I think that is what people wanted to see. So forget who was right, who was wrong, who called. None of that matters. If you're a Spurs fan and you truly want the best for Tottenham, none of that matters. What matters is, how are these owners, if they're not going to sell, how are they going to move forward in transfer windows? And if it's going to act like they have in this window, then nothing's going to change. If they're going to act properly and bring in 4 or 5 really good players that all walk into the first team that with a plan in mind, then it's changed. Until then,
that's the problem, though, Sav. Right? Like for me, even if ENIC were to put in 400 million quid of their own hard cash tomorrow, right? I still think that even if they, again, we were speculating earlier on who was whatever, but even if they came out and said, Vivian Lewis released a statement, we're going to put in 500 million pound into the football club and over to the footballing guys to figure it out. Even if that was it. And then you kind of know, then, okay, right, they put their money up. Great. That's all you really want from an owner, right? Is to employ the right people and to fund the process. The problem for me, and I think Saba, you said it earlier on my show as well, I completely agree with you, is it doesn't matter how much money you spend if you're profiling the wrong people. And I think that Tottenham at the moment, I agree with Lubo. Yes, the owners might want the owners gone. I've got no problem with that. If that's your argument, no problem at all. Happy to see new owners come in. But if you've still got the donuts that are profiling players, that are wasting time thinking you can get certain players that you can't, and that are not spending time trying to find appropriate, tier players. And I don't know if that Langer, Paratici, Rob McKenzie, or any of these guys are they can't cut the mustard on this one for me.
But Sean, we talked about earlier, so I won't go into too much detail, but the profiling of players is really important. Not just fans spouting out which players they want, but the club actually identifying this is what a Tottenham player is going to look like moving forward. More importantly than that, look, we can all say they failed after 6 months. As I said I think I said this earlier, if this was a report card, Sean, it would be, right, you're 6 months into your job. So far, you are failing. So far. Now, that doesn't mean it's always going to be that way. However, the track record of ENIC under whatever guise shows you that this is what they do. So this window for me was a real opportunity for them to prove a few people wrong. And they haven't. What they've done is they've reinforced everyone who hated Enoch, Levy, whatever you want to call it. They've reinforced that, no, this is how we operate. They've reinforced it. And for me, listen, we get to the summer, but I'm just so bored of the he said, she said point. I just don't see the point in it. It doesn't get us anywhere. I just want them to act. That's all I want.
I'd say also that for me personally, when we heard that Joe Lewis was finished with the club and his son and daughter were coming in to run it, having seen having seen Bilbao and the parade, as a fan, I desperately hoped, and everybody knows how I hated Levy and I hated the way Enoch ran the club for 25 years. I hoped that, I'm in business. I see sons come into fathers' businesses. The parents, the father retires, the son runs it in a completely different way. I'm sure there's plenty of people in the chat and people that are listening that know exactly what I'm talking about. Sons don't necessarily run businesses the same way as a father does. They have their own personality. They have their own way.
Very rarely better as well, by the way.
Sorry, Sean?
Very rarely better.
Very rarely better.
Because they've come up with a silver spoon in their mouths, and they don't know the graft of getting there in the first place.
And the other thing also, Sean, is that they've got quite a ceiling to pierce with someone like Joe Lewis, who's worth $6 billion. So,
sure.
But Lubo, can I ask you something?
But hang on. So I desperately hoped as a fan that they would be different. Now, if we're talking about that, they've now got to judge their staff. And yes, so I understand what you're saying. They're 6 months in. And if you're looking at a report form of members of staff, they've only got one job to do.
I agree.
They've only got one thing to do.
I agree. Lubo, I agree with you.
Is talk with the manager, sort out what path the manager wants to go down in terms of the player profile, the style of play he wants to play, and then go out and identify those players. You got 4 months.
Yeah.
4 months.
We've been doing that. Go on, Sav. Last couple of sentences.
Go back to Lubo. Lubo, I don't disagree with you on that. I'm not making them right. I'm just saying this was a really big opportunity for them to show us something different. And what's more worrying for me than any of this, again, more than the bigger picture of Enoch, the bigger picture of the club moving forward, what's more worrying is that they've left us in a perilous position where we are going to clubs now with about 11 or 12 footballers fit, right? So no matter what we talk about, Enoch, the strategy, the owners, whoever's at fault, they have left us short in a time where we are in a bit of a crisis. That, for me, is more unforgiving than anything else. Yeah.
Fair enough. Great chat, guys. Great chat. Guys in the chat, please don't forget, there's 1,850 people here. Love to see it. Obviously, passions are high tonight, so you smash the like button if you enjoy the debate. Hit the subscribe if you haven't already. And don't forget to subscribe to Football Heritage TV, Spurs Corner, Lubo_61 on Twitter, Football Inc., Spurs Talk Show, and all that jazz. I'll put the links up in a minute. Right, this is the bit. I don't want to. We've only got 20 minutes left, guys, and I do want to also talk about the protest bit as well. So, sort of 10 minutes on both, if that's possible, unless you guys want to overrun by a few minutes. But this is the post that came out tonight from two different people did two different things, right? So, what's this one here? This is the one from QT Romero. He's talking about this came out earlier on. And he's tagged Spurs official in there as well. He said, "Great effort from all my teammates yesterday. They were incredible. I wanted to be available to help them, even though I wasn't feeling well, especially since we only had 11 players available. Unbelievable, but true and disgraceful. We'll keep showing up and taking responsibility to turn this around, working hard and staying together. All that's left is to thank all of you for being there and for always supporting us, the fans." Spurs official. We'll just. I mean, this is the third time in a year, third time in 14 months, I guess. I think it is that he has put a social media post out there that he's using the word disgraceful. Obviously, part of that is aimed at the fact that there's injuries. Obviously, part of the justification for what you said about 11 players available or 12 players available is because of the injuries, but obviously he's also inferring that the club haven't done enough to bring in new faces. But just quickly, the context around, even if Tottenham could have brought 2 brilliant signings in, you still only have 13 people available, right? So the injuries are still the biggest part of that particular problem, but he's obviously going at a deeper level. He's talking about the club again. Is he right to do it for the 3rd time? Stel, you wanted to go? I'll let you go.
I think there's a cultural there's a cultural issue here, right? And I can speak on this because I believe I understand it. He's Latin American. Latinos, Italians, Greeks are very similar, and they've got fire in their belly. And growing up in a Greek house and in a community, and I've seen it with the Italians, even the Spanish, he's Latino, Spanish blood. You tell someone what you think, right? So if you come over to me, hi Stel, how you doing? And you smell, I'm going to say, Sean, you stink. Right? I'm going to say it to you, you stink, or I'm going to say it to you. Now, I think in the UK, that's not the dumb thing. And I think there's a way of doing things that's different and it's inappropriate. What Romero's doing, I personally am fully behind it. We've had these debates before. Most of you disagree. That's fair enough. Opinions. But
don't disagree with him. Don't disagree with the sentiment of what he's saying. I think I just disagreed with the fact that he's doing it publicly as an employee and the captain of the football club. That was the disagreement.
Okay. I'm all for it because culturally, in Italy, in Italian football, South America, they do these things, right? Even in Spain, they do these things. And for me, I'm glad he's doing it on the basis that nothing is going to change unless somebody really rocks that boat. Now, I've suggested tonight, I want the manager to do it. I don't want a yes man. And the argument is it doesn't work. The more, what's going to happen if the manager does that? Okay, fine. So then we move on to the captain. Well, he can't do it either. So who's going to do it? Because for me, it has to be done publicly. And the reason it has to be done publicly is it creates a talking point. All the big platforms, the media, everyone now is talking about it. And you know what? It will shake something within the club where they say, we don't need this PR. We don't need that happening. Maybe we've got to just either get rid of Romero or we've got to change internally.
Is that possibly what he's angling at here, though? Just the same thing as the way that managers who call out the board often are looking for the sack. Is Romero pissing off the board to the point where they say, get this guy out of the club? He's not pulling in the same direction.
Well, you know what? I'm going to use something Sava said regarding Frank. Either back him or sack him. So either get on board with Romero or get rid of him at the club, Enoch. Because somebody, I don't know who, I've suggested who, people disagree. Somebody has got to grab hold of this club and really, really, really put it in its place. Conte tried it, he got sacked. Romero's trying it. People aren't happy that he's doing it.
Conte. I just can't agree that Conte was saying it to try to make Tottenham change. Conte was doing it to change his status of employment.
Okay.
I believe both.
We can disagree on that. The point I'm making, just back to Romero, is that somebody has got to speak out on this.
Yeah, but should it be the captain of the football club?
Sean, if not Romero, who?
Well, I don't know. I say for me personally,
and that's the problem.
I think that those conversations need to stay behind closed doors. I think that he's everything he might be saying and everything he said before, all that stuff. I don't know about the whole lies thing. That was interesting and how he walked that one back. But this particular one, again, look, it's just the context there is he's saying that it's a disgrace that there's only 11 fit players. Even if you were to have had the best window in all of our history, you'd still only likely have 13 or 14 fit players if we signed 3 more players. So you still have an injury crisis, which I think was the point, which is the layered influence of where he's coming from. I know he's getting at a different point, but for
he's just saying what the fans were saying, Sean. He was just saying what we were saying. How can we only have this many fit players for a game against Man City? He's just repeating what we said.
And that's fine. But I'm just saying, for me personally, let me speak quickly. I just personally don't think that these things should be aired. Dirty laundry should be aired in public. I think it makes the club look like a circus. And I genuinely think that if he really wants the club to be able to bring in better players, then one of the things that isn't going to help in that regard is the current captain of the football club calling out the board. It's going to make the club look like an absolute shit show, which it might well be. And he might be right in trying to ask for better. But I think that one of the ways that you don't get good players wanting to sign for you and want to go somewhere else is by helping this notion in a public forum look like the club is an absolute like circus. And him doing that like aids that impression.
If everyone stays quiet, Sean, if everyone stays quiet and nothing's changing, then everyone's just accepting it's okay for this to carry on. And
I'm not saying, no, he can say it behind closed doors. That's what I'm saying.
I'm sure he has.
Bang on the door of Vinay, bang on the door of whoever, and say.
Can I ask you? Do you think in the last 5-6 years, players, managers, whoever, we've had 8 managers, God knows how many players. Do you think they haven't behind closed doors tried to do that? Because I think they have.
I think some probably have. Some probably have. I think Harry Kane
it's
probably
not working then, is it? It's not working then.
Sure. But that doesn't mean that this is going to help the situation either. Two things can be wrong at the same time.
They can, but I'm glad he's doing it because someone's got to do something different. We can't keep doing the same old, same old. Look, I think most fans will agree with you, Sean. I think they'll say...
I don't think they will.
Yes,
I don't think they will. I'll put a poll out. I'm sure it's going to be tonight because everyone's angry. I'm sure it'll be 95% Romero was spot on. I'll put the poll out.
They're just going to cuss Sava and my parents, right? That's what they're going to do.
Can I jump in here? Because number one, the first point is that I think Romero might have been having a chat with Billy T in Change for Spurs, because Change for Spurs could mean a number of things, and Romero's comments tonight mirror that. They could mean a number of things. He actually hasn't directly called out the board. He's done this very, very cleverly. Personally, I never think it's right to directly call out the board in front, in a public forum. You're only going to get their back up. And if you want somebody to do what you want, then the best way to do it, or the worst way to do it, is to antagonize them. I do think on this occasion, Romero is a World Cup winner, Copa America winner. He could go to a number of clubs and he could go and win trophies. He's just signed a new contract in the summer, and he's possibly thinking, I didn't sign up for this. This is not what I signed up for. I was told, Frank's come in, ambitious, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And this transfer window, although it's just a small 32-day window, for me, because of where we were as a club, because the squad has never been strong enough and has got worse over the last few years. Not only have we had injuries, but we were short to start with in the first place. And he's probably looking at this, he's probably really frustrated. So, he's Latino, he's really pissed off, and he's got frustrated. But he's
Connor's just messaged me saying a Spanish friend of his. So sorry, Luke, 1 second. A Spanish friend of his just said it could be a bad translation, as apparently the word disgrace is very similar to the word unfortunate when translated.
Okay. He must be really frustrated though, Sean, at what's going on with the club. I can't believe otherwise. The guy goes and plays with Messi and all the other top Argentinians in the World Cup and Copa America, and he comes back to Spurs and he can see that they're not building the club in the correct way. I do feel sorry for him. He's one of our best players, and he deserves better.
I still think he needs to focus more on his own game. I know he scored a couple of goals, but his defending has been fucking atrocious at times this season.
Well,
he without seeing past the first stone or whatever. Right?
He's carried us through in a few games as well, and got us back.
In the games that he scores goals, he's also responsible for the goals that we can see.
Well, he was against Burnley
and West Ham.
And many games.
You don't like Romero though.
No, I do like Romero. I like the player when he's up for it, but I think he's a player that's hot and cold for sure. Yeah, I just personally, it's just my take. 85% of people think that you're right, Stel, and he's right to do it. 15% disagree. It's cool, right? It's just opinions. But me personally, I'm consistent. I don't think that if you worked in an organization and you called out your own CEO, I don't think you'd be in the job very long. Sure. And I think if you were looking to be made redundant and getting a payoff, I think one of the mechanisms you could use to get that, rather than quitting or resigning, is calling out your boss. So I'm not saying that I don't think he's necessarily wrong to feel pissed off if that's his mindset, but I still think that it's the wrong forum to do it. And I don't think it helps the situation if he expects Tottenham to sign better players well, one of the things that a new player is going to consider is whether he wants to join a ship that looks like a circus. And I think that those sorts of things don't help that. But it doesn't, like, it's just my opinion. I don't rate it, but it's fine if you do. It doesn't bother me.
I think it's interesting. If his comments tonight are what most people think they are, it's done the trick in terms of, like, right now it's on Sky Sports News. Right now, the picture of Romero walking through on the stadium. That's great. What's it do now on the 2nd of February? Like, if for people praising that he's done it, what's it actually done? And this is always the difficulty when you call out this is the difference between football and real life. All the things we expect football managers to do, players to do, doesn't happen in real life. You don't call out your board. You don't call out your boss. It just doesn't happen. Now, I take the point that maybe these people have been saying behind the scenes. We assume we know that Frank hasn't asked behind the scenes for better players. We assume that Romero hasn't called it out behind the scenes. We don't know what's been said. My only question is, it's now the 2nd of February. Dropping that statement, if it is what people want it to, if it is what people think it means, you've got February, March, April, May, right?
Do it in May.
What good has it actually done Spurs as of February the 2nd, when we actually need to galvanise with so few players and actually get points? I feel like if you're going to make some sort of a statement like that, and I don't agree with the doing it in public thing. I think it's very much an online fan thing that we think calling out people in public is the right thing to do. In no walk of life does that ever in reality actually bear results, right? It just doesn't. But if he was going to do something like this on the last day of the season, you know what I mean? On the last day of the season, when people are asking him, what's your future looking like? Kuti, what's your future look like? I want to stay at Spurs. I've got to see the ambition, right? Transfer window's open now. There you go. There's your shot. I want to stay at Spurs, but I want them to match my ambition. Doing it on the 2nd of February, 20 minutes after the transfer window shuts, for me, just leaves the club with 4 months of, now it's going to be talks of, does Romero want to be here? Does he not? The board, if they were going to react to it at all, can't actually react to it, can they? Because it's now shut. So it's a difficult one. I don't make him wrong in what he said, if that's what he means. But this whole calling people out in public, it seems to be a theme throughout this fan base. We want everyone called out in public, and we don't seem to realise the ramifications it actually has in putting us in a worse light than we actually are. These sort of things, for me, should be done behind the scenes, professionally. And if Romero doesn't like it and doesn't want to be here, I completely get that. But then handing a transfer request you don't want to be here. Doesn't mean I think he's wrong. Doesn't mean I think he's wrong for what he said. But this whole notion we want everyone to call everyone out, Frank's not going to call out the boss that pays him £8 million a year. He's not that stupid. Right? He's not as stupid as the fans want him to be. Right? Romero can do it because, like Sean said earlier, there's no repercussion on Romero, is there? There's no repercussion.
There hasn't been.
So he can call it out. Thomas Frank, he calls out Vinay and Enoch.
He's out.
He's out. Right? Gone. So we've got to be very careful when we say as fans what we want versus what the professional should be doing. And that's, I think, there's a fine line between the two things.
So, Sava, do you think then, not just Frank, any manager then that does that, are they prioritising millions in their bank account over being the best they can as a manager as a football club?
100%.
I think they're doing, first of all, everyone's going to prioritise if they are on a massive salary like that. And second of all, nobody calls out their boss like that. Like in the real world, who calls their boss out like that unless you're prepared to be sacked? Like if I've got a job and I hate something my boss has done, or my boss hasn't given me a bonus or a pay rise or whatever it may be, I'm having that one-on-one chat with my boss, aren't I? Or I might go above him, her, to their boss and have that chat. But what I'm not doing is sending a company memo. Why am I going? Can't believe this. Fans think it works. I haven't seen many instances where calling out your boss has actually led to anything positive. I'll happily be proved wrong if anyone can point it out.
Staying quiet at Spurs hasn't worked either, though. So we're stuck in the middle as fans.
We are.
Sure, but Thomas Frank's not going to put his job in jeopardy because some fans want him to call out what we already know. He said subtle things that no one. I know people only want to hear what he said in terms of that they're working hard behind the scenes, which obviously you've got to because they're your bosses. They don't want to listen to the subtle things he said throughout the window, like we need reinforcements. I'd rather it done early rather than late in the window. Yeah, we're going to be active. When he says these things, people just let it slide. But when he says, yeah, my bosses are working hard, people go, oh, he's a yes man. It's like, well, you're not going to turn around and go, yeah, my bosses are shit.
I don't think he's putting pressure on them by saying that. He's putting pressure on them.
He turned around, didn't he, and said we're weaker. He said we're weaker than when the window started. Is that not his way of saying?
Frank's comments on Sky Sports, Romero's who's getting the headlines, who's being talked about.
Yeah,
Romero.
but it's not. But the comments aren't always universally well received. I think the guy on TalkSport, was it Troy Deeney? I think he said he needs to shut the. No, it was Gabby Aberonlahor said he needs to shut the hell up. I think. Simon Jordan said something similar. I think
Jordan's more credible. He's more credible.
I'm just saying, but it's just they're all opinions, aren't they? Everyone's entitled to their opinion, and like I say, it's not always it's going to be talked about, but because the kind of the sports media want things to talk about, but they're not all going to sit there and say Romero's right to call them out. The Tottenham board are a disgrace, so it can backfire as well. It can damage Romero's reputation. Again, like me personally, I think that it damages the club's reputation. And that there's more than one way to skin a cat. But
Sean, but see, here's the thing: when you're at rock bottom, when the reputation is muddy, when you are a circus, what you say isn't going to make it worse. We are there already. We are in a shit show already. Me saying this is unacceptable, this is crap, this blah, 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 it doesn't change the fact we're already in that place.
Okay,
reputation's already in the mud.
I agree with you. I think everyone here agrees with you, and this is where I'd like to just move the conversation on to the last part, right? Because I think we have to also acknowledge that everybody in this life has got different ways. And there's no one group of people, more than about 100 people, ever feel the same way about anything. And once again, it was only 24 hours ago that there was a protest at the stadium that no one turned up to. So, not everybody thinks that the club is a circus, or not everybody thinks that the club is, has to have a protest, or that they're the right way to go about it. So again, just because it aligns with your particular thought process doesn't mean it's the truth, and doesn't mean it's necessarily the right way to go about it. Is what I'm saying. What did you make of the protest?
I said this was going to happen. I told you the protest is dead. It's results driven. People don't believe me when I say it. It's results driven. Lose 4 in a row, you'll have a protest that's actually functional. Win a game, get a little bit of positivity, automatic qualification for Champions League. Nobody's going to protest. I even said on the show, I can't be bothered to clip everything. I said on the show, if we're 3-4-0 down, I'll be clipping all day. Right?
only the bits that suit the narrative in the latest edition, right?
Listen, I'll go clip it now. I'll be back in 10 minutes. I said on the show, if we're 3-4-0 down, they're going to walk out. If it's a tight game with 20 minutes to go, nobody's leaving. Nobody's going to leave that. And that's exactly what happened. This is the reality of it. Fans pay money to be in that stadium. They're not going to walk out if it's a close game. Anyone can win it. If you're 3-4-0 down, perfect example. Half time. Boo!
What about before the game? It wasn't just the 75th minute. Before the game, there was the meet-up in the south stand outside in the atrium or whatever it's called, like the outdoor bit of in the south stand of the stadium, and no one was there.
I never went, and I said to you, I'm not going to any more of them, because for me, the fans would rather boo Frank and blame Frank and not boo Lange, not boo Vinay. I can't accept that. Either you boo everyone because everyone's to blame. You don't just pick one person. This is where I defend Frank. I'm defending him here. Just booing Frank is unacceptable in my books. So I'm not going to the protest because the fans have shown to me the one person they're going to go after is Frank, and yet they're going to moan about the board every other day. So there's no point going to the protest.
You're saying don't just go after one person, but the protests are about one group of people.
No, they're about change. Hold on.
No, it's not. It's ENIC out. Come on, it's ENIC out. You know it is.
it's changed for Tottenham. I go there as Enoch out. I've always been Enoch out, Levy out. But there's some people there.
Change for Tottenham changed their messaging. Their messaging on the banners that they were putting out was saying, "We're there to get the owners out." Enoch out.
Yeah,
Enoch out.
Sean, don't you think when people talk about the board, I don't think they just mean the owner Joe Lewis. I think they mean Joe Lewis's kids. They want Vinay out, Charrington. Sure. They want Lange and the recruitment team rebuilt. They want the whole structure above Frank. Everyone above Frank. I think that's what they mean. Whereas when people say Frank, it literally is him and his name only. Sure. And I think that's unfair. I don't think that's fair.
No, but I'm just saying there was still nobody there chanting Enoch out, right? And nobody there in the pre-game. The 75th minute thing, 100% the game state. If we were 4-0 down, there might have been a few people that walked out 100%, right? But the fact that it just become 2-2, of course, that was just, that's just the circumstance.
Because fans would rather blame Frank. That's where we're at now. Unfortunately, most fans would rather blame Frank for all the problems when it's not. But yet they moan about Enoch online and on YouTube. But like you've said, maybe, just maybe, us online fans, we are nobodies in the bigger scheme of things.
100%. And the frustrating thing is, Sean, that fine Romero keeps quiet. Who says something? Who should step forward and say something where they are going to take notice?
Well, the fans outside the stadium, but no one turns up to it.
Because it's results driven.
Manchester United put together their protest a couple of days ago. Lubo, you were sending me messages saying it was a bit like that's how you protest. Right. I haven't heard a Manchester United player calling out Jim Ratcliffe. Have you?
No.
Right. So what are we doing here? There's the consistency.
We're a bit different. We're a bit different to Man United, aren't we? Though we're a bit different.
Really?
Can I say what
they've been pissed off? They're pissed off with their fans. They're pissed off with their. Sorry, Sava, go on, mate. Crack on.
I was just going to say, I think going to the last couple of games where events, whatever you call them, protests, walkout, whatever, were both scheduled for both games, made me realise the difference between the kind of vitriol. And sorry, you heard this earlier, Sean, but the kind of vitriol online versus the lack of vitriol at the stadium. All I hear when I'm sitting in that stadium is Frank, and that's fine. Frank's the manager. Managers take heat, of course. That's not a problem. But I don't hear anybody Enoch out at all. For me, I think there needs to be, if this is going to work, and I've always been someone who publicly has said I don't think protests work. So far, nothing has changed my mind. But I think if they're done properly with the right money put into it, the right backing, the right time frame, given to people, I think something could be done. But there's got to be one clear message. Change for Tottenham for me isn't a message. It doesn't actually tell anybody what you're protesting. I think it has to be, if it's going to be something, it needs to be Enoch out. It needs to be definite, because change for Tottenham. Well, Tottenham changed everything in the summer. Tottenham changed manager, coaching staff, medical team, CEO, non-exec chairman.
Great point.
Right. Spurs changed everything.
Maybe a lot of people are actually like they've seen change.
Right. So change for Tottenham. Well, we had change for Tottenham. So I think it needs to be very clear now. If it's going to work, it needs to be Enoch out. But my worry, as I was saying to you earlier, Sean, is this. I don't think there's enough appetite for those that I'm seeing in and around the ground, in the stadium, in the pubs. It doesn't feel like that appetite that we see online is mirrored actually in and around the actual location where it matters. So it's all well and good seeing, I don't know how many people are watching now, 1.2K, I don't know, 1.3, I don't know, whatever's watching, right?
1,750, I think.
1,750. You could do a vote now, and 1,000 of those 1,700 people go Enoch out, right?
No, it's 90%. It'll be 90%.
Right.
100%.
Okay, cool. I don't see that mirrored through at the stadium. Now, granted, small sample size. I've gone the last 2 home games, but I'm not seeing that mirrored. I'm standing, at half time before I left. I started the protest before everyone else, right? At half time before I left, I'm having a beer on the concourse, right? And everyone around me, there was no real vitriol towards Enoch. No one was talking about it. All I could hear was like, Solanke, Simmons, whichever player they wanted to moan about. For this to work, I think it needs to be properly planned, really, sorry, I nearly fell off my chair. Really properly planned. There needs to be some money put into it, and there's got to be one message, and that needs to be ENIC out. But if you're not going to get thousands, if you are, it's not going to work with 200, 300 people. People just walk past it. If you've got 10,000 outside, ENIC out for an hour, ENIC out. Now the media are looking. But inside, for me, where I think Billy got it wrong, a fair play to him what he's trying to do. I'm not knocking Billy at all, by the way. If you're asking, Stell is right, you're asking people to leave on the 75th minute. That decision is always going to be driven by the emotion of how the game is at the 75th minute. And Solanke equalised in the 71st, right? So 71st minute, tails are up. No one's going to turn around and go, oh God, 2-2 Man City. I tell you what, fuck it, let's all march out in our thousands. So it's a real tough one. I don't know the answer, but at the moment I can't see how it works unless it's built on a massive scale. Just don't see it.
Yeah. And just to touch on that quickly, I was having the conversation with Sean earlier, is that in the two big protests that we had last season before the Man United and Fed and the Southampton game in April, if Change for Tottenham had actually checked with people, if there was a database, if people that were there, they knew who was there, they could understand from the people why they were there. Were they going because they weren't happy with Levy? Were they going because they weren't happy with Ange? Are they unhappy with ENIC per se? And that way, because, you know, if there were people there that were happy, that were unhappy rather with the way that Ange was performing, Ange is gone. If people didn't want Levy at the club, Levy is gone. If people were pissed off because we were 17 years without a trophy, we've now won a trophy. So in order to gauge whether there is the right climate for a protest, they've got to have this information. And it can't be done on a wing and a prayer. 6 days, you know, it came out last Monday, 6 days before a match. It's got to be done. It's got to be organised properly, at least.
And every single time they do it on short notice, and it's a damp squib, it dilutes the brand of the movement, and it's
correct.
People just see it constantly being a damp squib and go, oh, you know, these guys aren't. There's no appetite for this. You know, for me, I think they need to step back. They need to take some time away from like the actual visual things. I think they need to like try to get together a database, an email address database or whatever else. Reach out to people first and foremost. See if there's any appetite to raise some money from a membership thing, £10 a year, whatever. You get you with that you can if there's 10,000 people that are willing to do it from all over the world, all the people that say I would be there, but I live in Australia. Okay, well, is £10 too much for you to put towards the thing? And then if you can get 100 grand together, you know, and you make it entirely transparent what you do with that money, you don't let anyone think that there's anything going under the table or whatever. And then you can go and get a shit ton of scarves. You can go and get some tifos made. You can go and get some flyers built. You can get some airtime on radio. You can do all the different things that money can provide you with the opportunities to do. And that's one way of amplifying the noise. But also, if you put the feelers out and it turns out that most people aren't willing to put £10 in, then you also know that it's just a lot of keyboard warriors and people don't really mean what they say what they mean, or they don't feel strongly enough to really provide the support to get these things going. No one's ever going to create a movement on whims and prayers, right? You need money to make these things work.
Can I ask a question about the money? Can I ask a quick question? Sorry. One thing I see quite a lot, and I think I've seen Stell battle back against people that say this, and I make him right, and I'm guessing you guys will agree. I see a lot of people in chat say things like, okay, people that protest pay to go into the stadium. But I think the difficulty is I boycotted the stadium for years, and it doesn't matter if I drop my ticket and let other people, someone's always going to pay for it, right? Yeah. People are always going to pay for a ticket. So I don't quite get this notion that if everyone just boycotts the game, they'll always sell it, right? There's still tourists everywhere that want the tickets. Some people have spent their hard-earned money on tickets. They're not going to not buy a season ticket and not go in. So I do think that what we're trying to do here, again, we're trying to simplify a situation that really isn't very simple. Everyone's got their idea of what the perfect protest looks like, whether it's walkouts inside the stadium, outside the stadium. But you have to have the appetite for it to happen. if you don't have the appetite, none of this means anything. And that means for me, the people running it need to be, as you said, it can't be on Monday you tell us that something's happening Saturday. It's got to be a lead up for a month, speaking to different supporters groups, speaking to the trust, speaking to get in everywhere. Because
YouTubers, it was mid-Jan to mid-Feb last year. That's exactly what happens. But what my point is that you cannot. Number one, you've got to have a protest. The timing's got to be right, and it's got to have maximum impact. So why were they arranging a protest for the Palace game 3 days after a Bodo semi-final? And if you won, you're 10 days before Bilbao. Gallagher got signed 2 days before the first one this season, and we just qualified for the Champions League last 16 straight off, and they've got one for now for the last match a couple of days ago, yesterday. Before the timing's all wrong. Nobody's actually giving the timing of these protests any thought whatsoever. And as you said, Sean, as if each one is a failure, it dilutes. And what they're trying to do, I'm 100% behind.
Yeah, but Lou, the thing is, if your message is strong enough and you genuinely believe that there are enough people out there that genuinely believe that ENIC out is the solution, then those people, that message shouldn't be like weaker or stronger based on what happened last weekend. Right. So like you can't, if you're going to plan a protest and you're going to do all of the funding and get it together and advertise it and flyers and banners and all that stuff, you have to pick a date in the summer or in the whatever, before a game or whatever, whenever it is. And it's got to be 2 months out. And you have to build that narrative regardless. And therefore, it can't be about change for Tottenham, as Estelle was saying, you guys were saying. Right. It needs to be clearer. It's just ENIC out. That's our thing. And with that, you might end up losing people who don't really want to be ENIC out. They just wanted the club to do better. Yeah. And then I think that will be a part of the issue as well, because the numbers will then look a little bit smaller. But ultimately, if you're trying to get your hardcore people, and you assume that most people, or more people than show that they do, feel that way, they shouldn't be like thrown off the scent because the weekend before we beat Villa in a game, or there should be more numbers because we lost a game. Like if people genuinely think that ENIC out is the only solution to get Tottenham back to where they should be, then those numbers would be there regardless of the temporary form, because like you say, it's macro, not micro, right?
That's right. And you've got to have a message, you've got to have a clear message, and then market it properly and get people on board and persuade people that this is what's going wrong with your club. You love your club, and this is what we need. And people have got to be persuasive, and they've got to bring people into the fold.
But they don't give a shit. For me, our fan base doesn't give a shit, right? What our fan base likes to do is they're in search of crumbs and pretending it's steak, right? If we change a couple of football directors and a new head scout, the fans will buy that for 2 years, and they'll go with it and say, Rome wasn't built in a day, things take time, blah, 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 blah. But the things that I look for, and I've spoken about in the past, has the pattern changed? If it hasn't, then I know that this reshuffle is just another PR spin, which is what I said in the summer. If we get rid of Frank, Poch will come in, maybe Poch gets to bring in one of his head scouts with him or something. Everyone will jump on that bandwagon until it falls apart because we haven't got rid of the bigger problem. And this is, and fans, give them that crumb, give them Poch, give them a land replacement, give them a new, really good left winger. Fans will use that for 1 or 2 years to not go against ENIC. And then 25 years later, when the same thing's happening because we're feeding off crumbs, it's unbelievable how we as a fan base have been hoodwinked and duped. But having said all that, I don't think for 1 second that most Spurs fans are as passionate as you and me, Lubo and others about ENIC out. I don't think they're as passionate about it. I think they like the idea of it. They kind of talk about it and moan about it, but they're not passionate enough to say, do you know what? I've had enough. I'm going to do something about it.
Well, that's
Which
what
is what that
the
fan
best
base.
way to gauge that, mate, is to say put your money where your mouth is. You know, we need to raise money. If you believe in as strongly as we do,
Yeah.
we'll set up an email list, right? Everyone subscribe to this email list or whatever on a website, and then we can communicate that way. Put out some feelers, put out some polls, some feedback forms or whatever, saying what would you be willing to pay to contribute as a yearly member? What would you like as part of your membership? You know, remember, if yellow and gold, purple and gold scarves or whatever, if there's thousands of them knocking around the stadium, that does seem to have more of an impact. I think that would be a visual representation. But I also think that there's it's not necessarily guaranteed one way or the other. But I think the first things first is put a feeler out to see if people really are willing to put in some money, because if they're not, then it's just a lot of people that feel a certain way temporarily, which is what you fear anyway, still.
Yeah,
so
but sure. But then what happens is sign Lookman, bring back Poch, and people unsubscribe from the list. Okay, yeah, we're going in the right direction now.
Then they're not in account, are they? Then they're not. They don't feel the way you feel. So that's what
I'm saying to you. They're not as passionate about. I truly believe, the vast majority of fans are now at a place where they know the ownership of this club is a problem. They recognise they are problematic in who they hire, what position they put them in. Sure. The direction
you might be right about that, but you won't know until you ask them to put their money where their mouth is. Otherwise, it's just talk is cheap, isn't it?
But look, do you know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe we need to go down a road where we say to people, if you really feel this way, sign up. Otherwise, back your chat, back up your chat. But then there's also fans that don't want to have their name associated with it. There's a lot. I've got family members.
If everyone puts a tenner in a year, and you can get 10,000 people, that's 100 grand. You can buy a lot of radio airtime with that. You can buy tifos that you can spread out in the flag.
No, I agree, Sean. I agree with all that. What I'm saying is,
but then the people that put the tenner in don't have to stand there next to it, do they? If they don't want to be associated, but they do behind the scenes want to support it. Honestly, I just think that the first thing that changed for Tottenham, the next thing changed for Tottenham need to do, take a step back, think about the brand and what they want to be, and then go about sourcing some ideas around how many people really feel as strongly as they do. Because you guys all believe that more people than show up feel a certain way. It's like maybe they do, maybe they don't. The best way to know that for sure is by asking people to put their hand in their pocket. And they're not asking for a lot of money, but a little bit of money from a lot of people goes a long way.
I think you're both right. Like first of all, if I was changed for Tottenham, I would take a step back now, really put a big plan together, and target if they want to do it, target the last 3 home games of the season where they've had time to really think about what they want to do, how they want to engage everyone. Is it going to be a march? What is the message going to be? Is someone going to be there with a megaphone? All of these different things, right? And I think you're right, Sean. I think it needs money. Stelly's absolutely right on the other hand, right? Absolutely right. Let's be fair. I don't know if you agree with Estelle. Pochettino, the reason I don't want Pochettino back, Pochettino is the ace up the sleeve to shut everyone up. This is the ace up the sleeve, and fans are asking for it. Because if they give the fan base Pochettino, most of the fans now
let them eat cake. 100%.
Now all of everything else. Now what happens is you can have 2 or 3 years of bad windows or buying youngsters, because you know what will be said on every show. Don't worry, Poch will get these going soon. Don't worry, Poch has done this before. Don't worry, Poch will coach these lot, and everything will quieten down. For me, that is Enoch being really clever against the people that actually don't like them. That is Enoch being really clever.
I felt like what they did in the summer was shameless. I thought it was utterly shameless what they did, but it absolutely worked. And if they bring back Pochettino in the summer, 100%, Sava, 100%. That will bring that the sentimentalists of the fan base will say they gave us what we wanted, and it won't work unless there's fundamentally a different shift in the strategy of player acquisition. It won't work, but it bides them a little bit more time whilst they continue with their projects. Sure, and all that stuff.
They care about us. They listened. They gave us back Poch. He can unite us. No, what they've done is go, forget this shit show over here. Look at this magic trick over here to conjure all that we care. If as I said, this isn't guys, I'm not against Pochettino per se. This isn't, I don't want Poch back. But Poch for me is the really lazy option, and it's nostalgic. It's actually Enoch putting two fingers up to everyone, going, "Oh, you think you're better than us? Here's Poch. Now all shut up." I think they're
Sava, this is what I mean. Our fans give them crumbs. They think they're eating steak. It's like when we signed all these young players a couple of years ago. Everyone thought, "Yeah, steak." No, it's crumbs. We do this all the time. We do this all the time with managers, with coaches. You know, we signed some random bloke from Man City. Oh, he's come from Man City. He's going to restructure. Really? So, okay, let's just forget the last 6 months then. And this is what happens.
I agree with you. Your point about buying a left winger, for example, right? For me, this is what they've needed to show for 3, 4, 5 windows in a row. And this is why whenever we have a half decent window, people go, "Oh, it's changing." I'm like, you watch, I bet the next window's absolutely shit, right? The window in the summer was, forget why I thought a lot of people liked it. How have they followed that up? Absolute toilet, right? And this is always going to be the problem still for me. If you don't keep having really good windows and having a plan in place, what they can, like today, they could have taken all the heat off themselves today. We talked about this earlier, Sean, right? If they had pulled a magic trick out the hat at 6 p.m. tonight and gone, "Here's Akliouche," just for example, just for example, pick the name of the player you want. Most fans would have gone, "Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, that's a good win." When in theory, they haven't really done anything. And we're going to do this in the summer as well. We'll get to the summer. It's a World Cup year. It's tough to get players in. Players don't want to move until the World Cup finishes. But they brought Poch back and everyone's happy. For
me, nothing has changed. And I don't believe it's ever going to change until there is some really big pushback, either from the fans, the players, managers, the board. Someone somewhere needs to have a massive pushback. Otherwise, they'll just do enough to keep it ticking and keep fans on board with the next round of crumbs. And that's it. That's how I feel about it.
But look how many want Poch back. Look how many want Poch back. They're going to get their wish, I feel, at some point. And then they're going to be straight back to, "Oh, why is Poch not being backed?"
Right, so here's the thing, though. I would take Poch right now, but I know that's not the solution. I know as long as Lange is here, and for me, I think Vinay is so problematic. I think Vinay is such a problem at this club. Him being the chairman, for me, I was against it from day one. Do you know what? I'll say this.
I've been thoroughly underwhelmed by him still. I've got to be honest. Underwhelmed by him.
Sean, I said it in the summer. He's Donna Cullen on steroids. Yeah, he meant it. For me, and I'll say this, guys, If you said to me, pick a chairman, Vinay or Levy, I would take Levy if that is the alternative. That's the alternative. Clip it. No, clip it. Clip it.
Oh,
they're both shit. They're both shit, in my opinion. They're both not fit for what I want as a fan. But if you said Levy or Vinay, I think Vinay's an abomination.
Yeah.
The fact he's kept Lange.
Big summer coming up. Still, don't worry. We've got I said to Sean earlier, still, I am waiting in the next couple of weeks. The first thing we're going to see is a sit down between Lang and Spurs play, with Lang giving it the big one as to how we've chased Gallagher for years and how Sosa we've scouted for years. Follow that up with loads of Alex Crooks and Ben Jacobs coming out, giving it the whole Spurs are after Morgan Rogers in the summer and this top player and that top player, followed by Spurs have got a £250 million war chest.
Yeah.
We're just going
the PR machine's going to go.
The PR machine is going to be in full flow.
Got to do the super chats, but just want to ask you one question, guys, quickly, like very short answers each. If the truth was to come out, right? Well, no, but just if in a hypothetical world where the truth could come out, would you rather the truth be that Tottenham didn't go for anybody, right? Or like didn't really put in the work, didn't go for the profiles, failed through ineptitude, failed through laziness, failed through tight budgets? Or would you rather that we went for everybody and everybody turned us down?
I'd say the former. The former, first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's terrifying.
Because then you can improve, can't you? Then you can improve.
Yeah. It's pretty terrifying prospect. Imagine if we went for Semenyo and they said no chance. We went for Adam Wharton, they said no chance. We went for Solis of Bruges and he went, fuck off, I'm not going to Tottenham. I mean, imagine if that was the case. We are shit. We are right up the shit creek if that's the case. Stel, what would you rather? Ineptitude or rejection?
Rejection.
You know what?
Because at least then I know the club's trying to actually be ambitious.
Yeah, but it means you're not going to be able to improve the team because no one wants to come anyway.
Yeah, but at least they're trying. They're trying to make us better. It's just that players have told us that no, we don't want to come to you. Does anyone here really believe we tried our best, our real best, to bring in some quality attacking players? I don't. I think maybe they wanted Semenyo. He said no, and we're like, well, that's it. There's no plan B, no plan C, no alternatives. No, we can't pivot in a different direction.
I think he said he's got his top 6 positions or profiles for every position, and I just think on that basis that we got rejected by a fucking lot of them. And I think that not necessarily rejected, but like told no, as in unavailable for whatever reason, injuries or.
So you probably had Sean. You probably had Solis, Savinho, Fofana,
Yildiz, Yan Diamandi,
Diamandi 5,
and Semenyo.
See, this is my issue with hiring Thomas Frank as manager, right? This is the big issue I've got with this. If you're going to bring in Frank, then run the way a club like Frank runs, because that's what he was good at. That's what he's good at. If you're going to bring in Frank to only sign the best in class or the top players, then we're better off bringing in a manager that's used to working with those players and bringing in those players. So, you know, I don't want to go back to Jose Mourinho, but they're used to working with top players. Bring in those type of managers if we're going to go for top players. If we can't get top players, or we're not going to be able to bring them in, bring in a manager where we're going to hire talent that's not quite nurtured or not quite known, that Frank develops, like he did with Wissa, like he did with Mbeumo, like he did with a lot of players. But what I feel we've done, and this isn't Frank's fault, this is the ownership. You've brought in Frank to then what? Try and sign players that Frank's not used to working with. It doesn't make sense to me. That, you know, Pochettino, we never signed top players under Poch. He had to develop them. He developed most of the players. That's what I thought Frank was going to be more like. But what we're now doing is we've brought in a development coach and we're saying, give him the finished product. It doesn't align for me. And that's and again, I repeat, that's not Frank's fault. We should have just brought in a manager that's going to work with the players that we want as fans. I don't get the alignment.
The only way this is going to change if you get new owners who come in and go, bang, we are going to come in, we want to win, we are going to back managers, and they can, and everybody in football can see, blimey, Spurs have got owners that are serious.
You've still got to move players on there. It's not as simple as that. You've still got to move players on. You've still got to win PSR.
You've still got to attract.
People want to see that this club's serious about.
But Lubo, you've still got to be able to attract. The problem is, we think that new owners coming in means we go from 50% attractiveness to 100% attractiveness overnight. You've got to
50 to 75 or 50 to 80, Sab. That's
sure, but it's
a big improvement.
I agree, but like you could say that is what we did with a Conor Gallagher. That is what we did with a Paulinho, right? So they have done that, but the problem is our fans. How many of our fans do you see say, don't want Akliouche, didn't want Conor Gallagher, didn't want Paulinho? You're like, wow, who is it that these fans think we're attracting? Who is it? If these players they don't think are good enough for Tottenham, who is it that we think we're attracting above that level?
But Sav, to be fair, us as fans, what we say has no relevance because the club's going to do what the club wants, right? They're going to bring in what they think.
Sure, but it's still the reality still. Whether as fans or not we want, it's still the reality, right? Is we can attract a certain level of footballer where we are right now, right? So it's all well and good the club coming out going, God, look at us. We went for Semenyo. Yeah, sure, but Semenyo's got 4 better clubs that he could join. See you later. You're never getting him. So you've got to start looking at what is realistic. Conor Gallagher's are realistic. Paulinho's on loan are realistic. Kudus are realistic. I just want to see sensible signings built like that over a number of years.
Yeah, Paqueta would have been
sprinkling stardust.
Yeah. All right, guys, let's do the super chats and we round off. Been going for a long time. Big up to everyone. Please don't forget smash the subby for Sav's channel. Thanks Sav for coming on. There's the link for him. Boys, if you guys, Stell, if you want to get your Spurs Corner link for me, mate, I can plug that as well. Let's do that. So Luke, you put this one earlier, mate. I hope we covered it for you, buddy, in the protest section, man. Thank you very much for that one. Luke was back in again. He said, I had a season ticket for 10 years. I used to love it. Only proper time I get to see my old man, and the football just ruins it. Enoch have taken the buzz away for me. So, yeah, sad to see that, mate. Sorry to hear that. Hopefully we'll get back to we'll get back at some point. But, yeah, the pathway looks long and rocky, doesn't it? Big up to you, Luke. Adam scored draw. Big up to you, my man. He says, I'm with Romero now. They can't sack him, can they? I'm with Romero now. They can't sack him. Well, they can't sack him. No, they can't sack him for sure. But look, who knows what his motivations are? Maybe his motivations generally are for the club to do better, or maybe they are based on the fact that he thinks he was lied to, or maybe he just wants an easier move in the summer where the club aren't going to stand in his way. Who knows? But he keeps getting away with it because there's no consequences. Big up to you, Adam. Thank you very much, my man. Faz says, are we likely to lose our top players this summer? I think a couple of them probably.
I don't think
depends where we finish. If we finish out of Europe, yes.
If we finish 18th, 19th, or 20th, I think we'll lose all of them. But if we finish, bottom half of the table, then yeah, I think we'll lose.
But it's going to. Let's be fair. The main one is Van der Ven, and it's going to take a huge offer for Mickey to leave this club. It's going to take a huge offer. I don't think he's going anywhere.
I think there's clubs that will pay the money for him. I think they look.
I reckon it'll be in the 80s.
Maybe more than that. I wouldn't. I want 100 million.
Liverpool are desperate.
Well, Liverpool have just tonight announced Xhaka.
Chelsea are pissed off about that, I'm sure. Big up to you, Faz. Thank you, mate. Thank you very much. Danny Kiriakou. Big up to you, Danny. He says, glad Romero does it. I'm glad Romero does it. Enoch have never had any accountability. Fans don't do enough because they don't really care. He also should focus on his own game more. Yep. Big up to you, my man. Appreciate that one. I think we covered that one off. Big up to you, Danny. Sanilla, always here, always super generous, mate, on a Spurs Five. And big up to you, buddy. He says, evening, guys. What's a terrible transfer window? Yeah, shocker. Absolute shocker. Big up to you, mate. Thank you very much for your ongoing generosity, Sanilla. Really appreciate you, mate. Very nice. Aura BBX. Big up to you, Aura. She says, we can't get any worse. Yes, cutie, say it how it is. Another person who, by the way, I just finished the poll. There was 900 votes and it was 85% in favour of cutie calling out the board. So the Vox Pop, what's it? Vox Populi? Is that what it's called? The people have spoken. Big up to you, Aura. Thank you very much. Ulrika's in the house. She said, Lewis kids have had 4 months. Frank has had little more. Most fans are reasonable, not necessarily YouTubers, haha, and understand things take time. Yeah, listen, I think. Oh, go on, sir.
This is the problem. This is the problem, right? Give it time. Be patient. Give it time. We've waited long enough. We've waited for decades. Now you're saying wait longer. These are the crumbs we're fed. We take them. Then it's Rome isn't built in a day. Be patient, mate. This window is diabolical. We don't need to be patient to sign one attacker. Just one attacking player. But you know what, though? I actually think Ulrika what she said here, I think quite a lot of fans agree with it. I think a lot of fans agree with this.
I think Salah said it earlier, right? They want change.
I don't disagree with the sentiment, but I agree with what you said. Yeah, having patience shouldn't mean that we have transfer windows like we've just seen. But this person is right. The manager and the new owners have only been doing it for 6 months. But listen, first window, first strike, right? First strike. Nothing's changed. Strike one.
Yeah. Big up to you, Ulrika. Thank you very much. Top Shelf Spurs says the sooner the Enoch kids get bored with their new toy and put us up for sale on Vinted, the better. Crowdsource the purchase. That's what we can do. If there really is 20 million Tottenham fans out there, then everyone puts in 200 quid each. You get to your 4 billion. Thank you very much.
You beat me.
I don't want us to buy the club. Because we as a fan base will be arguing, should we sign Archie Gray? Should we not sign Archie Gray? What about his brother? Should we get his brother in?
Yeah,
No.
yeah, nightmare. Big up to you, Top Shelf. Sunny is live says, as much as I agree with the sentiment of everybody on the panel, I think everyone is deluded in thinking fan protest will have any real impact on how ownership thinks of its investment in the club. Yeah, I've always said that, mate. I think there's no direct relationship between protest and an owner selling their club for lower than the price that they're willing to get.
You say that, but Mike Ashley, the entire fan base turned against him. And look,
yeah, and
the problem
took him 15 years to find the buyer.
Because the FA blocked 2 buyers because it didn't meet the criteria. Our issue is we can't get a big enough protest to have an impact.
Mike Ashley didn't accept a price point. He wasn't willing to take a lower price, is what I'm saying. Like you might force them to say, you know what, fuck it, the club's up for sale, but they're still only going to sell it for the price that they want. Is the point I'm making?
Yeah, I agree with that. We can't even force them to put it up for sale.
Still, I'm not being disrespectful to our fans, but those Geordies love their club. Like, we're not in there.
Yeah, but those Geordies also didn't support a club that's worth nearly £4 billion and has got a lot of business ties to it. When Newcastle sold the club, they were selling, it was 320 million.
30 million.
Right, 330 million, and it was literally the stadium and the football team. Tottenham Hotspur is a colossal, ginormous juggernaut of a business venture, and that's what I've always said. The difference is why
you're filtering out more people, aren't you? The higher up the price point goes, there's less people that are willing buyers, and so.
I'm just talking about what fans. That's all.
Do you know what it feels like to me? It feels like to me that Arsenal were a complete mess after Wenger left. Not as bad as this. They were kind of 8th, 9th out of Europe. And Vinay was one of many people that helped turn Arsenal around. And it just looks to me as if we brought in Vinay thinking, oh, can you do what you did there? And he is so out of his depth for the level of mess we're in. Because Arsenal weren't in the deep shit we're in because they were winning back-to-back FA Cups still. Arteta's worst season was it 8th or 9th? Hey, we're talking about relegation every year. We're 2 years in a row, we're talking about relegation.
Yeah.
Vinay, for me, is the wrong man for where we are, unfortunately. Yeah. And I thought
I need to drop. So
appreciate you coming on, mate. Thanks again, Sab.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you, mate. Take care, guys. Let's just get these super chats done. Move to a fabulous three ball. Bosh. Oh God, face looks big there. Let's come back a little bit. Hi, everybody. Sanilla with the new Stell Scarf Fund. We're going again. Big up to you, Sanilla. Thank you very much indeed, my man. Appreciate you, buddy. Appreciate you. Very, very generous person. Top Shelf Spurs back with another one. Big up to you, Shelfie. He said, I think Levy and his wife plan to retire anyway. He said he has broad shoulders. To Neville, nothing has changed. Yeah, I reckon he's sitting back rubbing his hands. I think he's delighted that the team has struggled without him. You know, big up to you, mate. Thank you very much. He's come back with another one, mate. Very, very generous as well. He says some people are irony impaired. Not sure who's that aimed at. Probably me.
Can I tell you guys something actually? Whilst that, because that comment came up. So I've got a friend. He lives about 10 minutes from me here in Enfield, North London, and he took his dog for a stroll in the park. And guess who he bumped into?
Don't know. Daniel Levy? Ange. Oh, nice. Is he in London, is he?
Let me tell you something. All right. They had a little chin wag. And basically, Ange mentioned that he told them, don't change what they've got going. It's not going to go the way you want. Let me do it, and let me carry on with it. They'd made up their mind though, so he was gone. And he was like, okay. I think he's also on the beach laughing with Levy.
Oh, for sure.
I think he's laughing his head off too.
Well, it hasn't got any better, has it, the football? Big up to you, Top Shelf, mate. Very generous tonight. Conan Takai, big up to you from Canada, says, just delete the effing club already. Control Alt Delete, my man. Control Alt Delete. Big up to you, buddy. Thanks very much. Barney 2909, thank you very much indeed from us to you. He says this all comes back to what ENIC wants, in my opinion, to wait for the explosion in TV rights. Yeah, I think that's true. And sell when the valuation goes up accordingly. Every tactic until then is a stalling one. Yeah, I think that you can also, of course, sell the club with some of that value baked in, assuming that it's going to happen at some point, you know. But
can I ask you a question on this? Right, you know, we were told about this war chest in January. I never believed that, by the way. When I hear the word war chest, I switch off because I know that means, you know, PR and whatnot. Do you feel that the club has deliberately not done as much business this window purposely because they want to wait and see how it pans out the rest of the season with Frank before deciding whether to back him in the summer or back a different manager? So not spending the way we thought this January is a sign that they're still not convinced by the manager.
Yeah,
do you think?
No, I think that's definitely part of and I've got no problem with that if I felt like Tottenham had absolutely no jeopardy of relegation. But I'm not sitting here looking at the results. I think the performances are getting slightly better, but you still got to get over the line, like you said, Stella. It's a results business, and we've only won one game in the Premier League in the last 6 or 7 games, 8 games or whatever, right? And by the end of this horrendous run, let's assume that we're going to maybe struggle against United. Talk about that on Thursday. You know, Arsenal, then Newcastle, tough games. If West Ham, I think West Ham have got a fairly easier fixture list in that period. They might be 2 or 3 points behind us by the time we get into March, right? So that's what I worry about, is that they're really rolling the dice. If they're not sure about Thomas Frank, fine, right? Especially if Thomas Frank's cop blocking certain moves or whatever, and they're going, you know what, save it for the next guy, give him a bumper thing in the summer. That's cool as long as you don't get relegated. If you get relegated, you know, it's game over, isn't it?
Yeah, it's curtains.
Big up to you for that one, mate. Thank you very much. Ant London's back in. Big up to you, Ant. He said, everybody needs to rally around Enoch out. If you can't see what's going on now after 25 years, I can't help you. No longer a football club. Yeah, we spoke about that length tonight, mate. So hopefully, I don't know, maybe change for Tottenham. Need to have a little look-see at a different model, a different way of doing it. I'm not sure what this is. Stell looks like he's had a pot noodle and a wank. Who started that? I didn't start that.
So, you know, when the show ends, then we look at some of the funny stuff and we laugh.
Oh, it's starting that. Okay,
right. Yeah. Cheers, Sean. Nice.
I had no idea. I was like, is there a reason it starred? You know, because we've all got access, guys in the chat. We've all got access to bring up the comments, and we've all got access to starting. So, yeah, we're sharing the same.
Now everyone knows what we do after every show.
Well, I didn't know. I didn't know this is what your plan was. I thought there was a reason you were starring it. And Adrian Cockerell, big up to you, my man. He says, anyone notice on Sunday, second half we were playing Man City off the park, and Sky was showing Frank waving get back, and then Man City came back in the game. I didn't see that. I was watching the game, but I didn't see that.
I'll tell you one thing we did, and again, I have to say what I see. We had all the momentum. We were on top of them. We were looking, sniffing, trying to get the second goal. And what did he do? He makes 2 subs. I know we scored after those subs, but it had nothing to do with those subs. It was Conor Gallagher and Solanke. And then we just slowly backed off. I don't know why he made those subs when we had the momentum. I would have thought, just keep it going. We're going to get the goal. He made those subs, and I think it slowly forced us.
You're talking about Solanke? Solanke looked absolutely like screwed. Solanke had already played 15 minutes longer than I think he was.
Solanke was limping, Sean.
Yeah,
he made the subs before we scored the second goal. I just felt he didn't need to make subs at that point. I thought, because he did the same against Villa. We had the upper hand, 2-1 in the cup. We got the second goal, and he made the subs. And there's no wrong or right, but the outcome will decide if it's wrong or right. I would feel, I've noticed this with Frank, when we've got the upper hand and the momentum's win us, he thinks, let me change it now to try and push the momentum further. But actually, his subs pushes us back.
Well, he waited too long in the Burnley. Was it the Burnley game or was it the West Ham game that he waited too long for the subs?
West Ham. Odegaard came on 2 minutes before Solanke scored the equaliser.
Yeah, they came on before then, but they had no impact in the goal. It was Conor Gallagher and Solanke that them two made the goal. But then once we scored the goal, the subs had been made. We slowly ended up being pushed back. We lost the momentum. And I just feel sometimes if you've got the momentum, keep those players on the pitch because they're the ones that they're pushing, you know. But he's done it 2 or 3 times this year, and in each occasion, we've lost the momentum.
I'd say those still. I wouldn't say they were negative substitutions, would you?
We lost the momentum, so yes. Man City ended up pushing us back for the last 10 minutes.
Well,
who came off for Odebear? Basuma for Odebear, and who was the other one? Tell for who?
Colin Moani for Tell.
Oh, they're reasonable subs, in my opinion, I think.
Yeah, but the players on the pitch had the momentum.
Slanky didn't come off till the 90th minute when Byfield came on.
Who came off a lot earlier than that, in my opinion.
Who came off for Odebear and Tell? Who came off?
Basuma and Moani.
Right, I would have kept them on the basis that we were on top. We were. That second goal was coming. You could see it was going to come.
But it came anyway.
People are saying Moani wanted to walk out in the 75th
minute. You wanted to go with Saba at half time. Sam, wait up! Give me a beer. Give me a beer. I'll see you in the 8 bar in a minute.
He must have won for Tottenham's fan of the year for leaving on 45, not waiting until 75.
And people called him out for it as well.
I know.
People that were Enoch out saying, "Where's everyone walking out?" Saba walks out in the 45th minute, and then they go after him, going, "You missed the second half, you donut." Sensational. Right, guys, we're going for 2 hours 45. We're well overdue. Can we round it off? Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right, guys. Appreciate everyone. Been a really well viewed show. Appreciate everybody. Thank you for all the super chats. Please do get over his Stell's link as well. Please go over and subscribe to him. There it is. I can't be bothered to give you mine or Football Link. I'm too tired, but find it in the links in the description, or just look for Football Link and Spurs Talk Show, and look for Lubo_61 on Twitter. Appreciate you all. We'll see you on Thursday. I'll be back tomorrow doing whatever. And I'm sure Stel, when's your next show, Stel?
Wednesday. Sean, just give me 1 second. I'm going to see if I can do a redirect.
Okay. Who's up? Who's on? Where are we going?
I think Spurs Kings TV are live.
Get them over to Spurs Kings.
Do you know what? I forgot how to redirect.
I'll do it. It's fine. Let me find them.
Is it? And
I got it here. It's fine. Done. And then Bosh, your video. Stay where you are, guys. We will send you right over. Live, monetization, customization, redirect. Bosh.
Spurs 5 rave.
There you go.
Raid. Please
put in Spurs 5 raid, backdoor Lubo, and we'll see you on the next one. Like, subscribe, and comment, guys. And as always, come on, Spurs. Bye, Jeff.
Yeah. Bye.